Do you crave golden
Showers?
locks of cheese raining down on you? You crave the forged in the fires of democracy? And walk on down to Walmart and get yourself a nice box of Hamburger Helper. It's great. That's it.
the ad read us.
Are we actually being sponsored by Hamburger Helper? I'm so confused now.
No, don't have a sponsor. So I was just like, I don't know.
He just likes Hamburger Helper. Okay.
I mean, sure. Yeah, it's fine. Fine
Yeah,
product.
Just thought I'd throw it out there.
All right, I respect that. Well, then, everyone, welcome into episode 117 of Just Some Gamers. Yeah. Hamburger Helper, folks. It's delicious. I had some the other day. What's your favorite, Russ? Do you do the old...
My favorite
what
is...
do they got? The Philly cheesesteak, the mac and cheese stuff, stroganoff.
I really do like the stroganoff. The stroganoff is good, or just classic cheeseburger.
You would like stroganoff.
I really do like the stroganoff. The stroganoff is amazing.
Yeah.
He hates it. And it's like one of those things that every once in a while I'll get a craving and be like, hey, this is $2. Put in the cart. Make it. Some love tonight.
Make it. Well, if she hates it, I doubt you're making love tonight.
Well, she also hates Funyuns, but, you know, I just ate a bag of those.
Well, huh.
That's a 2 for no right there.
How can she hate Funyuns?
They're much.
She hates the smell of them on my breath.
Well, yeah, that's one thing, but just because you hate how they smell doesn't mean you don't want to, you know, devour Funyuns. They're delicious.
You know what a better snack is?
What?
Hot fries and a Coke Zero.
Hot fries are pretty good.
Yeah.
Good.
Too bad. I just read an article. Actually,
kid.
it's funny you brought that up, Russ. I just saw an article today that those were all discontinued.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As of 25 minutes ago. Yeah. So,
breaking news, folks.
And
that's
a crazy coincidence. I guess you're gonna have to owe me something else for 10 years.
Oh, what do you want me to owe you now?
Your love.
Oh,
hot,
buddy.
Sticky love.
Oh, dude, you have that all the time. I'll mail you an envelope full of my hot, sticky love. How's that?
Well, it won't be hot and sticky.
Now we're talking.
The stamp is just slowly peeling off.
They've got like those insulated envelopes to keep things hot, so he'll just send it to me in one of those special mailman envelopes that only
we have access to.
Very special.
USPS. Yeah.
Pardon me, clerks. I need one of those jizz envelopes, please, on the double.
I'm making a deposit, if you know what I mean.
It's a post office, not a bank.
OnlyFans has the
doesn't matter.
The water, bathwater jars, like special Teflon proof, and the USPS has hot jizz mail.
We do
mail envelopes,
and we have so many different sizes for it, depending on the load. You know what I mean? We can handle it all. You got your little one, you got your medium ones. Actually, instead of just like a big envelope, we just use the whole fucking tub. If you just want a vacuum sealed postal tub, we'll give it to you.
I was thinking it was just like a flashlight.
Yeah.
Now imagine
a postal
carrying.
flashlight.
Now imagine carrying that around in the hot summer sun of what a parade was, right?
Here to deliver your pleasure.
Ooh.
Well, Russ, should we begin our fucking 35-minute introductions of everybody? Because there's a million people here tonight.
I think so.
Okay, good. Well, hi. I'm eating eggs.
Get it out of the way.
I'm ELMMMERFUDD. I'm your host tonight.
I'm
He's
sorry.
a professional.
I thought you just said
streamer.
You were eating eggs.
Yeah.
Not ELMMMERFUDD.
Hello. I'm eating out myself. I'm ELMMMERFUDD. I'm a host tonight.
I'm eating ELMMMERFUDD.
Everyone, shut the fuck up. God damn it.
1, 2,
You're the one who invited
whisper
three
it.
people
Whisper it,
today.
Russell. Whisper it, Russell. That just
I knew
got
what I
brought
was
up the other
getting
day.
into.
Fuck, Russell's here. Hey, Russ, how you doing?
Hey guys.
You look handsome today.
Oh, thank you.
And you
I
have your
did my hair
microphone
and
this
everything.
week.
I do. And like nice noise-proof headset. You know, I'm becoming more professional. The video quality is much nicer this week. It's not all fuzzy and
That's true.
like I've been licking the camera.
Could you give us a camera look real quick just to make us feel more at home from last week? Oh, he didn't go all the way, folks. Just to let you know. I'm sorry. Ruffaroo. Well, let's go around the ball here, folks. And I want to go around their balls slowly and methodically like Russell with a webcam. Folks, we've got Mr. Beard Grizzly here. How you doing, baby?
Oh, me?
Yeah,
Me?
you.
I think I'm alive.
That's
Pretty
good.
sure I'm alive.
Yeah.
Am I alive, guys?
It's a rare occurrence for you.
Yeah.
It is.
You ever
I
wonder
think.
why we're here?
42.
Are we
Yes.
human or are we dancer?
I really hope we're human because the
I'm a
alternative is either
dancer.
bugs or bots, and I don't want to be either one of those.
That's actually an interesting question we can get into later.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Very
huh.
much. Very much.
Also
Actually,
with us,
I mean, I don't know. I
Russell.
think both
Just
would
kidding.
be pretty fun.
Just kidding. Those would be really
Right
fun.
on.
We can get into that later,
Okay.
though.
Yeah.
We have 20 minutes here, Russ. Hold on.
Okay.
But and then it's all you, buddy. You remember you're in
Russell,
charge of
Russell,
everything else. You're the one that put the show air quotes notes together. After I get through these intros, man, you take it away. You got it, buddy? Can we make it through this?
I'm sorry, there's a weird stain on my chair.
Oh yeah, sorry, that's my envelope got opened up there.
Probably not that weird.
yeah. We also have Mr. Bill Nye's bow tie.
It's me.
Hey, Bill.
Hey. Bill Nye's Science Guy.
Yeah,
Inertia is demonetized.
What's new with you, buddy?
Not much. Just been chilling since our last podcast venture. Been playing Helldivers. Finally got into Baldur's Gate 3 as well. That sucks up a lot of
Hell
my time.
yes.
So that's been
That
Goodbye.
is such a good game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still at the last boss. I've been at the last boss for probably a month.
I just got to the Moonrise Towers.
Oh,
So-
hell yes. That's fun.
and I did.
Oh,
I got as far on Lae'zel side quest as I could for now. Like before you get to Baldur's Gate. So
Mm.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
kind of using
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
guides, and I'm safe scumming because I don't give a shit. I
That's
just
how
wanna have
you
fun.
should be playing. I'm sorry. I got like
Oh,
50
really?
hours in and something went wrong. And I was like, well, all right, I guess I'm starting completely over.
Right.
I was watching a clip of yours the other day. That was you were there in front of
Oh,
gosh, what's her name? The Githyanki Queen.
get the Yankee Queen. Yeah.
Um,
God Queen, whatever. I can't remember her
Anyway.
name either.
Yeah, the Lich Queen God Lady,
Yeah.
and she was like, and you were like just like pushing her buttons, just pushing.
Oh
her
yeah,
buttons.
I
She's like, "You wanna be my
literally
power?"
so that was the last part of Lae'zel's quest that I was just in, and I did the exact same thing right before you posted that clip.
Oh my
That's
God, I was
so
crying so
funny.
I was like, she can't actually be a god. And then I was like, oh, hello.
But what's funny though is it gives you like a lot of it kind of gives you a lot of context if you do that.
Oh, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And, like that that really does
Yeah.
prove she's not a god.
Because she
So
uses
it's a cool scene,
wish.
even though
But-
you have to reload from it.
Exactly, which is great. What we don't want to reload from, though, is Mr. Eggman 54. Hey, stud.
I was getting ready to say something there, Fudd.
Listen, if it's something I'm not interested in, I'll tell
We'll
everyone to shut
save
the
it
fuck
for the
up.
Baldur's Gate 3 episode.
But if it's
Yeah,
something
really.
I'm interested in, we can talk about it as long as we want. Yeah.
All right. I see how it is. You're just saying I'm uninteresting. You know what?
But that's why we're still talking to you,
accept it.
because you are interesting. You see what I'm saying here?
All right.
Wait,
I
we're
can see
talking to him? I thought we were just gonna ignore him the whole podcast. Just-
Not me,
no,
dude.
that's Beard. That's
Oh.
Beard.
Yeah.
Honestly, that
Or
would be
Beard.
quite hilarious.
Oh,
just
right,
freaking
right.
never acknowledge somebody that's in the podcast.
No, that reminds me.
People watching would be like,
Be so
"Why is
confused.
this guy
They all hate this guy.
There was one time I was on a
Answer
Destiny
is
podcast
yeah.
years ago as a guest, and there was like 20 people on this show. So we got through all the intros for like 45 minutes. And I went, all right, I got to go. And I put all my plugs in and just left the call. It was a good time.
Yeah.
All right, Rush. Intros are done. Show's yours. Take it away.
Okay. Oh, I didn't even get the effervescent Russell. You just threw Russell out there.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that my intro had already been.
You didn't deserve it this week.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Screw you, Russell.
Okay.
I would.
I love you too.
He
It's the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me.
Aww.
I'm procrastinating a little bit. Just because. So I was gonna do a quick. We talked about my book a couple of weeks ago. Right,
Yes.
that I'm writing. Have you gotten a chance to read it yet?
I have not. I didn't even read your list. I have it saved.
No,
I
I'm just
legitimately
teasing
just haven't had time, but it's there. I have it pinned.
No, I know that you haven't read it. I just thought I'd call you out because
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
It's what-
I also could have
That's
been a
what I'm
better
here for,
friend.
baby.
I'm a dick
That's what
like
I'm here
that. So
it's one of those things where it's like, I have beta readers, and it's intentionally one of those things where it's like, look, I know you guys have lives. I wish you didn't.
yeah,
No, you
same.
And so it's one of those things that because it's continually evolving, you have one of the most recent revisions of my first chapter.
Of course I do.
But a
Come
lot
on.
of the other beta readers have my initial draft, which I've made significant changes since then. And so
Losers.
it's one of those things where it's like, I know you guys will get to it when you get to it. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I'll get different people's opinions on what is sticking, what's not, anyway. So having said that, leading to this, just realized this is a very rough version of my first chapter.
Oh, we're reading the whole chapter?
I talked to Brett. He was okay with me reading
I thought it was the first page.
just the first page.
Okay, I was like, wait a second.
Just the first page.
Settle in, folks. We're gonna be here a while.
The first,
you
You
say
did
went
say
me in
okay
half an
earlier.
hour.
my first chapter.
All right, everyone get a pen out. We can take notes as we go.
No. I'll make it quick.
Okay.
So please be kind. Although any feedback is appreciated,
You got it.
because it is a very rough version. So I do understand that. I'm done procrastinating now. I can't procrastinate it any further. Ready for this?
I'm ready, but are you ready for this? I know this is I am a guy riddled with anxiety all the time. I'm nervous for you right now. This is exciting.
Oh no, I'm super nervous. I'm gonna
Okay,
probably stumble all over myself. This
That's
is gonna
fine.
be really bad.
It's okay,
Okay.
buddy. If you need to sound out words, let me know.
Thank you. Okay. Well, I stutter real bad when I get nervous, so there's gonna be a whole lot of stuttering.
That's okay, man. It's your writing style. If I read it and I don't have to stutter while I
It's
read it, I'll
actually-
be very disappointed.
I was reading a part to Lindsay the other night, and I had written it phonetically because it was supposed to be somebody else speaking, and they were speaking in an accent, and so I had written it out, and every time I hit it, I'd go da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And she was like, "Is that in the book?" And I'm like, "No,
No,
that's just me
I'm just a
stuttering
moron."
at the same spot every time."
All right, let's do this, Russ.
Okay, here. It was the stench that woke Bast, the cloying sour scent of blood, sweat, and shame. The Ascendant City smelled like a whore, a cheap one. While the sun was up, it smelled sweet, of dreams and desire. During the day, the sun burned off all the excess stink. The bloated corpses were cleared away from the canals. The blood splashed on stone was washed away. The criminals and Vesper addicts crept back to their shadows. But at night, the stink crept in with the fog and the nightmares. Gus pulled the collar of his rat-eaten coat to his face and sniffed. Or maybe the smell had been him. He sat up, wiping the spittle drooling from the corner of his mouth with a hand, the sandpaper sound of his 5-day-old stubble scritching across the wool of his fingerless gloves hammered in his ears, making him wince. He blinked sleep-blurred eyes and squinted through the fog at the purple bruise of the twilight sky. He had only been passed out for a few hours this time. He hadn't been able to afford the usual gasps that would have seen him through another day, another night. The malice of half-remembered nightmares floated to the fore of his mind, wailing cries, a wicked smile. He shuddered and quickly pushed the thoughts aside. He needed more slumber. Air jacket, fumbling through the shreds of what remained of its inside lining. There was something that hadn't been stolen or pawned, but all he found were empty pockets and handfuls of despair. He sighed and rolled to his side, only then realizing he had been lying in a pool of his own sick. The smell had definitely been him. Need to go out into the darkening night, searching, hunting. Maybe he could make it to the gardens tonight. If he got there before the trundle trolley got around, maybe he could find the treasures in the bins. A stained silken cloth, maybe a fine button or two off a lord's coat, and he could see himself tucked away in a nice little slumber den instead of the cold street for a couple of days. A couple of nights, away from that bloody golden grin. Bass brushed the rubbish away that he had used to cover himself earlier that day, curled around the half-gasp of slumber he'd managed to scrounge up. The alley was long and narrow, winding its way drunkenly between the rows of warehouses that made up the Lower East Side of the Ascendant City. It was a safer spot than most, especially if one were willing to risk the knife instead of the club. The watchmen didn't come this far into Flotsam. Too many run-ins with the knuckle dusters. Too much blood spilled on both sides. They let the gangs police their own. Bass stood, the firework cracks and pops of stiff joints enough to be heard over the quiet din of folks making their way home and the creak and rattle of wagons. Bass saw him step from the shadows cast by the sinking sun, a darker shade within the night that shrouded them, barely discernible in the rising fog. Tall and slim, Shade's feet hit the ground, lead claim, yet making no sound. Bitter bile tinged with fear washed over Bass' tongue as he saw the man was clad in the black cape and tunic of the watch. Frost cloaked his uniform, steaming in the muggy air of the warm summer night. The stranger strode toward Bass, an oncoming tide. Darkness wafted off him in tattered ribbons, his hands whispering through the night as he flipped a dagger quicksilver across his knuckles. Bass' eyes flickered from the dagger to the man's face. Pale and drawn, there was no hint of stubble. His skin shone in the dark, seeming to glow from within. His hair, longish for a man of the watch, was ink and water, black as midnight and lashing about his head like a cat's tail. His eyes shone silver, stars in a cold, dark sky. Stepped closer, the dagger beneath the cloak with the hush of an owl's wings. Bass fell against the wall as the man flowed toward him, shadows boiling at his back. Bass saw faces within the clasping, sharp jaws snapping. Jade Dancer, he thought, in horror. The end.
Damn.
Excellent.
Dude,
Very
good.
cool.
that was phenomenal. I'm so fucking proud of you right now. Man.
I'm I appreciate that. It's like I said, still very rough.
Oh yeah.
Still early revisions. There's still a couple of things changes on, but yeah.
I'm excited for more of this, man. That inspired me to actually want to go fucking read what you sent me. Isn't that great?
Well, it's about damn time.
I know. In a minute, I'm gonna.
I'm gonna say from a general writing perspective, as a analyst of stories to begin with, it painted a very good picture. I generally could follow along with it as well, and you could get a sense for like where most of the pieces were fitting together without having any real problems doing so. So, no, that was very well put together. Good start.
Thank you. That was what I was going for. Just because the world itself there's a lot.
Yeah,
There's a lot because there's a lot of world building I've done, and it's like, how do I convey this while still moving along at a quick enough pace and giving you enough context to where I don't have to just do an exposition dump of like, well, slumber is this powder derived from what we call
yeah.
that has a slightly prophetic effect on people who are conduits, and it's like that takes way too long.
Well, and that's where you can introduce some terms and vocabulary, but you can also do so and expand on it later, while keeping the reader kind of hooked into it as time goes by. So no, I think that's good.
Or you do what Dune did and just have like a footnote every 3 sentences.
Well, you
Yeah,
you
that's
could
true,
do
too.
that, but
I could.
And an index that's half the size of the book.
I mean, I feel like when you get to like George R.R. Martin size or something like that, where he's like expressing every little detail and thinking that he's a good writer,
Right.
then at that point you can start having all those footnotes. But you know, it's hard to say if that's really a good way to convey things. In movies, it's always show, don't tell, and I feel like you have to do the same thing in writing to fully grip the reader, especially in fantasy. In fantasy, you're painting a world.
Well, I think.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it has to be a little bit of both, right? Because if I did all showing, then it takes too long, right? Some of my earlier revisions, it was a lot of that, and it's like, you know what? I can take this out. It quickens the pace a little bit. All I have to do is tell them, you know, I'm telling this. I'm going to describe and then tell you this, because it's, you kind of have to do a little bit of both, or else that pace, it can really drag. I love Tolkien, right? But you read his works and it can drag. Or Robert Jordan, one of my favorite fantasy series of all time, The Wheel of Time. He spends a lot of time showing, and it's great because he has some great.
Wait,
prose,
are you guys telling
writing.
me that the
But then you
Tom
get
Bombadil chapters aren't the best part of Lord of the Rings? Is that what I'm hearing here?
See, and
This is
that
blasphemy.
I mean, actually, the Tom Bombadil chapters are some of my favorites, and
They
I
are
love the
really
little
good.
glimpses where he's like, "There's something you can interpret," and that gives you an idea of the world. But like when he's talking about the White Tree of Gondor, that's what I'm talking about. Where it's like this side tangent that's like, I don't need this for the story. You can move. I get it. There's a white tree. It's dead. It'll only bloom when the king comes again. All right. 2 sentences. Let's move it.
Yeah. Eggman, we got fucking nothing from you. What do you think of the book?
I think it's
And
great.
he hates it.
I don't understand why I have a close relationship with Russ, but he hasn't sent me his book yet. And you know,
Well,
that's all I'm thinking about.
It's probably because
like,
you're a piece of shit.
No, that I'm thinking, you know, the exact opposite. Why can't I have this book?
It's probably because you're playing Roblox while we're podcasting.
I need more.
It is okay. I'm not actually playing. I just hopped on with my nieces so that they feel like I'm playing, and apparently has some. I don't know. I don't even know what's going on with it, so don't even worry. I am paying attention.
I saw the little logo in the corner of your camera, and I was like, "This son of a bitch." No. At least it's not Russ and Red Dead, so we're good. We're good.
Was he doing that during one of the podcasts?
Oh, he used to be notorious for playing Red Dead while we're.
I never played games. I never played games during.
And
our
it was
podcast.
back when you had it on the
30
PlayStation, so you just hear the controller sounds horribly.
You just hear
and
click,
then
click.
We had an episode where people watching the podcast logged into Red Dead just to hunt him down and kill him. So that he's cussing people out that are in the live chat. God damn it, Evil J, fucking leave me alone. While we're trying to podcast, it was fantastic.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I don't remember this happening ever.
Likely story. Well, speaking of other games, real quick, we'll slap this out of the way so we can get into the main topic. Just as a reminder, everyone, we do have a game club going right now. That is currently we're playing through the Mass Effect series. Mass Effect 1 right now. I think we have it set down for the 25th of July to be the episode where everyone sits down and discusses their thoughts, feelings, and adorations or hatred of Mass Effect 1.
This.
You do. You got 2 weeks there, buddy. Real quick on that though, it's been really exciting. I assumed we'd have like you and my sister who'd never played it, and then everyone else was like, people are like, yeah, I'll reinstall and play it. I think we have more people involved in this that have never touched it before, which I'm very excited about.
Well,
Really?
Yeah,
That's pretty
starting
cool.
it with the
And I
Russell froze.
oh dear.
Oh God, he's all pixelated. His hair still looks good.
He's just a green.
am I
ball.
dead?
Oh, there you go. You're back.
You're
Yeah, you were
alive
gone
now.
for a second.
Definitely.
Oh, I'm back.
Hi, buddy. Were you? I saw the.
Yes,
Were you
and
about to go?
it's
Ah.
responding over here.
Yeah. But yeah, it is very exciting. We're going to have a lot of people that have never played Mass Effect before playing through it for the first time. So it's going to be exciting to see that, people's feedback on that. So
I may jump in for 2 and 3.
okay, deal. Yeah, 1 is definitely better with the Legendary Edition, but it's, obviously because it's the oldest, it's the roughest.
It's a bit rough, yeah.
Especially if you're someone like you who's played through it 100 times. It's like, well, I get it. Anyway.
And here's why I don't want to go back and restart from the very beginning.
Not anymore with the
It's because of the damn elevators, because I just got out of the space station. That's where I last.
You can skip most of them now.
And so I'm like, I really don't want to go back and play through the whole space station because I was doing all the side quests. I'm finally on a stupid planet.
Okay, then
they made the elevators go way faster in Legendary Edition, though.
Yeah, and you can press a button and skip most of them now. It's awesome.
They're still too long.
Well, so's your nose. I don't know.
What do you want from us, man?
Yeah, God, I didn't make the fucking game. Jesus.
If you don't want to play it, you don't have to play it. God.
Fuck, dude. All right.
No,
well,
I do want to play it. I should. Yeah.
We've let these wonderful individuals sit around while you've read your stupid book, and we talked about fucking Mass Effect.
I know. Yeah.
God damn it.
And
Waited for you to get Discord to work.
Game.
Every game except, yeah. So what else have you guys been playing? Let's get to, no, I was kidding. So the main segment of the night, folks, is Russell taking over because I said he would, and I accidentally took over again, and I apologize. Go ahead, Russ. This is all you.
Oh,
yeah.
So we wanted to talk about one of the best games this year, in my opinion, right? Because Baldur's Gate 3 came out last year.
Yep.
So of the games that I played this year, this one is absolutely one of my favorites. Helldivers 2, everybody. We're jumping on this bandwagon while it's still hot.
Well, it's fresh and new.
Yeah, well, it's fresh and new. After everybody's tired of it and is already like, we went from 150,000 concurrent players to like 40, 50.
40 still solid.
No, it is still solid. And I am really like, especially, so they've been releasing some great patches. So let's do a premise of the game. Then we'll talk patches. We'll talk about what's going on now, what our favorite parts of the game is.
Hell yeah, man. Take it away.
So synopsis of what Helldivers is basically, opinion, it's almost like a post-apocalyptic society. Post-apocalyptic, not apocalyptic. What's an apocalyptic? It's a fruit. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a real word. And the reason I say that is because it's kind of this utopian post-apocalyptic. It's kind of what it feels like, right? Where they're like, we had this great war, everything got destroyed, but we're stronger and better than ever. It's very tongue-in-cheek. If you've ever seen Starship Troopers, it's kind of along that same line, right? Everybody is going to war, and there is this vast drive of the training of Helldivers. In fact, the very first thing that you do is you go through a tutorial where General Bragg, who's never impressed, is very impressed by you as an individual, running through this tutorial and dying repeatedly. And one of the cool things that they do is when you die, you are a new Helldiver, right? Because there is an infinite supply of Helldivers. And you've spread to the far ranges of the galaxy, and currently we're fighting a war on two fronts. They've officially declared the next great war, which the last one was 110 years ago?
Something
112?
Like that. I think so.
Yeah. Against the cyborgs, the bugs, and the Luminate. Right?
Yes, in the first time.
So this is Helldivers 2. It's a continuation of that story. We're 112 years in the future, and now we're fighting a front against automatons, bugs, because they have declared war on democracy.
And we can't let that happen.
Can't let that happen.
Can I do a quick question here, Rusty Poo? Okay, thank you. I just found this really interesting. Just because Helldivers...
Actually, so...
Yep.
Love you.
So actually,
sorry, taking a
if
sip.
Fudd doesn't want his question, I have some counterpoints to what you just said.
Oh yeah, I'll take it that way.
Oh,
So I think you did a good job summarizing the game and the gameplay and stuff. Although I thought your just description of it of being post-apocalyptic was kind of odd, because to me I don't see it as the setting being post-apocalyptic. What I see it is a future dystopia that's pretending to be a utopia, right? Where like maybe there was like some great cataclysm or conflict or whatever in the past that led to the dystopia being established, but at this point, like if you are, if you play by the rules, if you toe the line, like your life's pretty great. you know it's not necessarily like everything's gone to
That's why
shit. Like
okay.
for a lot of people, it seems like everyone who lives on Super Earth, basically, from what we see from the lore, that everyone who lives on Super Earth does have like a utopian lifestyle. But then you get all these little bits and pieces from like all the other NPCs you encounter, like the technician on the ship who's like, boy, I'd sure love to go to Super Earth someday. Where it's like, oh yeah, you can't even go to Super Earth if you're not like already some like super high ranking person in the society or whatever, right?
And then like people off from Super Earth are decidedly better than people who are born anywhere else, and
Right.
yeah,
Right.
Screw
well,
the
you have
colonies.
to also wonder how much of it is like a redacted situation too, because we know where there's a lot of there's the maps of Super Earth, for instance, with like the American containment zone or whatever, and you can't really go there, or they don't want you to go there. So it's like a lot of things, I think, in science fiction, it goes to like the resource management line. And we, of course, have the jokes with the bugs with like E710 and all that, needing to get different materials, scraps to put things together with the anti tank mines and whatnot. But there's a material level to it that it seems like it's in the apocalyptic realm of like Dead Space or something like that, where Earth is kind of depleted and there's a few pockets that are okay. So it's how much do they want to tell us, or how much is it that they can expose to us to make sure that we feel like the dream is still alive, so to speak.
Right.
The
Yeah.
colonies are still
And
like the biggest thing. And I like that with the Super Earth edition, where the only way you can get the Super Citizen title, which technically are the only ones that come from Super Earth, is to pay more money
And more
and
money.
to
Yeah,
also
yeah.
have that to begin with. Like that is again
That's
just kind of
very
telling to like
brilliant.
the tongue-in-cheek nature of the game, which I think is fantastic. But
Well, I think
anyway,
one of
sorry.
my favorite aspects of the game and like the way the lore was built is that they give you this idea that the Super Earth are, or that the Helldivers are like this like super commando, like elite tactical force that can overcome anything, but like literally the only training you have is like 5 minutes of running through an obstacle course, and then
Yeah.
you're flash frozen and stuck on a rocket, right? So it's like you're really
well,
no
first you're given a
better.
cape.
Yeah, you get a cape and then you're flash frozen on a rocket. So like if that's the only additional training you see Helldivers receive, like from all other military forces, then it's like, yeah, there really are no different than anybody. They've just been suckered into this like idea of like get launched into space and die in 30 seconds as soon as you land on a
Exactly.
planet.
And then if you happen to
Well,
survive a mission, you're never going to tell anyone otherwise because you're so pulled into the propaganda of it all. You're gonna be like, yeah,
Right.
we're just the best.
well, and
It's just
that's
like the
Well, and
way
see,
they
that's
developed it is
that's
so funny.
why I call it that's why I call it a post-apocalyptic, because in a metaphorical sense, I look at it kind of like
Oh, we lost him again.
Goodbye, Russell.
oh
Rip the
no.
You'll be
dream.
missed.
So I'm looking up what the definition of an apocalypse is.
Okay.
So a
on
noun, the complete final destruction of the world as
You're back, by
described
the
in the
way.
biblical book of Revelations. Okay. An event invoking destruction or damage on an awesome or catastrophic scale.
I mean, at that point, you can definitely see that there was a large scale explosion or large scale something that happened on Earth,
Mm-hmm.
especially with like the quarantine zones and stuff like that. That's at least the only real cut and dry piece, I think, that we have for like the known map. But obviously we don't know how far all of that goes. And obviously too, it's very necessary that we also are taking like different planets or going to different planets for their resources and so on. So I think that's always important to keep in the back of our minds while we're going to these different areas.
Yeah.
Right.
But to also talk about the ideas too of the you were saying about like how Helldivers are just like 20 minutes and that's their training. It's again the tongue-in-cheek nature of it all. Talking about like how the game is largely based off of American politics, which is what the company has kind of talked about often. But there's also this this very Czech ish Russian Soviet era spot that kind of falls into it. And I don't mean from the bot side, I mean from the you get a gun, you get the ammo, now let's cross the river type idea.
Yeah.
There's they have all these people, and I mean I look at what's going on right now sitting in the Hydra sector. There's 181 million Helldivers that have been KIA'd. Now, think about that from a this fantastical galactic level of like how many planets we probably exist upon. That probably isn't anything. So this vast galactic empire that is now under Super Earth has all these people that they otherwise need to keep in control. What other way to do that than to effectively sell a lie? So the dream goes into all of it and so on. So the post-apocalyptic has to play into the military piece. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that it's kind of this metaphorical post-apocalypse because it's
well, it's one of the
we don't
mind
really
more
have
than
an
anything.
idea of what happened.
I forgot
but
to mention
why
that.
would Super Earth join all together? You have a
We lost him again.
the idea
he's here.
of
Yeah.
did you guys lose me?
For just a
Your
second.
audio's cutting in and
Your
out.
audio, yeah, it cuts in and out every once in a while.
You're
But
fine.
you're doing okay.
Fine.
When it's there, it's good. Don't
You
Wi-Fi,
guys are
man.
making better
Plug it in.
points than I was anyway.
Plug
Plug
it in.
it in. Plug it in.
Literally all the way on the other side of the house. Or else I would-
Dude, they make cords
I
as
even
long
got a
as you
Wi-Fi
want.
booster, and it's fiber. It is fiber. I'm supposed to be getting crazy speeds, but for some reason on my Mac, it's crap.
Well, you
It
just
is. I mean,
answered
that's your
own
first
question
issue
there.
right there, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think that's about the
get
first
shit
thing
on!
Eggman and I have agreed on, isn't it?
Well, there's been a couple, but that's a
I
main
know,
one right
I
there.
know. That is definitely a main one, yes.
Proof is in the pudding, baby.
Anyway, I'm sorry, Russ. I keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
I was actually looking today. Well, I was just going to say I was actually looking today to see if I could get a webcam for my desktop
Yeah.
because I'm getting really tired of
I would.
a spotty, and it's the Wi-Fi, really
Yeah.
spotty, really
Yeah.
annoying.
We'll get a crazy long
But
cord
yeah,
and just tape it to the ceiling through the whole house.
I'm sure that would go over well.
my wife would lose her. Yeah. Because Gideon would grab it and he'd be playing jump rope with it, and my
Not if it's
computer
on the
would go,
ceiling. Yeah, it's fine.
I
would
honestly,
find a way. He'd rip it down off.
He
the
would
wall.
find a way. Anyway,
if you do for some reason do that, please record the reaction because I'm sure that it would be worth it.
Yes.
but don't record it on
We
your
can-
Mac or we'll never be able to watch
Yeah.
it.
Recorded on iPhone.
dang.
That's why nobody else is seeing this.
Holy shit. Well, I wanted to ask a question real quick just to get into like the gameplay aspect of things, right? Helldivers, it's been out for 6 months.
That's the original question that you wanted to ask.
Yeah. It fits in anywhere, so it's not a big deal.
Okay.
Just like me, hey, because I have a small penis.
Okay, well then we can talk about something else that I wanted to talk about.
Okay, deal.
No, you're going to ask about the gameplay. Let's go.
Just kidding. Gameplay.
Here we go.
Yeah, do it.
So Helldivers has been out for 6 months. Everyone's aware what it is in the gaming sphere, of course. The main reason we're doing an episode about it now, a lot of patches have happened, a lot of nerfs happened. People left from nerfs. We had the whole Sony bullshit happen. Don't want to get into that. That was in every headline ever. But we've gotten a lot of patches recently that have buffed things. So the game's in a great state right now, which is why we're heavily still playing it. But the big thing I wanted to talk about, or at least ask everyone who's in this group right now, is Helldivers 1 wasn't a very big game. So when Helldivers 2 was launching, whether you were there from day one or whenever you joined the game, what made you guys want to try it out? Specifically, let's start. Eggman, you haven't been able to talk a ton tonight, so let's start with you, buddy. What made you go, yeah, I'll check this game out?
Well, Russell,
Nah, screw
Russell
him.
brought it
Okay,
up to
we're
me.
doing the thing. No, I'm just.
Who's in charge of this call? Can somebody mute him for me, please?
I mean, I could, but the main thing is it's effort, and he's aware of that, so he's free reign because I don't feel like doing anything.
I still have my note card somewhere.
Anyways, going on, my turn, my time to shine. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed the comedy of it, and I feel like that brought a lot of people in, because you say like, what caused you to start playing it? It looked hilarious. It is hilarious, and that's what caused me to start playing it. But then also, once I started playing it and I got a feel for the game, I fell in love with many other different aspects of it. It's beautiful. I just built a brand new computer, and that's one of my favorite games to play. Thank you. Is Helldivers on max settings, because it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous in ways that I like to see. I like to see the cape flow through and in and around my body.
And it hugs it in all the right places.
Yes, all the right places. So I'd probably say comedy. Comedy's what
That's
got
why they
me
give
in.
you the cape.
Yeah. Comedy in, and then for the gameplay is definitely why I have over 200 hours in it so far.
Yeah. I love that.
And rising.
Billy, what about you, buddy?
Yeah. Definitely the comedy for sure. Like the level of satire and like the lampooning of like the whole like, oh, go deliver freedom and democracy to other planets, and it's just a bunch of guys with rocket launchers and machine guns just mowing down thousands of giant bugs. And it's just like that really is what got me. Like when I watched the trailer for the very first time and saw that, and I was like, I know exactly what the like idea of this game is, and I'm 100% down for it. Just as like I'm so into like that kind of satire and like that whole sort of I don't know, like we were talking earlier, sort of like the dystopia, but it's actually a utopia or whatever, or just like just the setting and all the references to all the other like science fiction stuff that I love, like 40K and Star Wars, Star Trek, all that sort of stuff. Just the way it's just kind of like this big parody of everything that I enjoy. And the gameplay looks really fun, and it looks really good graphically. The fact that it was not $60, because I really hate paying full price for games and then end up not liking them. So I felt for 40,
100%.
if I didn't like it, I'd be like, okay, whatever. At least I didn't pay full price for it. But yeah, now it's like, since I got it, it's like in like my top all-time played games on Steam, like by hours. Like I just played it nonstop basically since I got it in March or whatever.
Hell yeah. Well, Beardy, what about you, buddy? So you're the man with the most hours of anybody. What part of this game called to you?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a long time Metal Gear fan, and Metal Gear 5 continues to be one of my favorite games of like all time. So when I saw the gameplay aspect of it, and saw that there was like the same general movement, the diving, and so on, I said, all right, this is like way too much of like a for me kind of game. Not really knowing a lot about it previously outside of like some of the stuff with like the tongue-in-cheek humor and stuff like that, which it wasn't a draw, but it was like, okay, I know that it's not going to be a game that takes itself terribly seriously. I like that idea. Like, we need more of that in gaming. It's also the fact that it's a smaller indie developer, so I have started watching most of those and more of those, I think, at this point than I have anything else. Indie developers, I think, have grabbed a sphere in gaming that nobody else can touch and have a passion like nobody else can touch. And knowing that they supported Helldivers 1 for as long as they did, I sat back and said, even if this game gets like 20,000 people, they're going to be happy with that and keep supporting it for the next 5, 6, 7 years. So I'm good with whatever happens. So I didn't feel like I was wasting my cash. I didn't feel like it was going to be all that bad of a time. Lo and behold, it's a game that I have close to 500 hours in now
Mhm.
at rank 124 and a half out of
Ooh,
150.
jeez.
And
Yeah,
I
you said it.
am I continue to play because of the gameplay loop. The graphics, yes, are beautiful and gorgeous, but the instances you get into, the stuff that basically paints itself, I think it's very fitting in a way that we started with Russ reading his story, because every single mission that it feels like I go on with you guys and whatnot feels like it has its own story that's kind of being painted with it. Even if I go off and do my own thing and I'm
Yeah.
not with you, you three otherwise are like doing a bunch of other stuff that has its own like mission report that you could write up, and then I could put mine in on the other side of it and just be like, this is what hell that I went through,
Mhm.
this is the hell you went through, and it all comes together in this like beautiful movie-esque feel that I have not gotten in any other game in probably the last 15 years, which I think says a lot.
Absolutely. Wow, that was beautifully said.
The generative way of like how the maps, how the maps are seated and where enemies spawn, where objectives
Mhm.
spawn, and just the variety of the enemy types and the terrain that you end up playing on. Even though, like, after a couple hundred hours like we have, it does start to get a little repetitive. It does, look the same in a lot of ways, but like you never end up taking the same path twice on any type of mission. You never know what you're going to encounter when you reach an objective, right? It's like you could reach a huge base and it could be totally empty, or you could reach a huge base and it's filled with like two Bile Titans or a fucking, factory strider or whatever, and you gotta like figure out like immediately what to do with all your team or by yourself, how to deal with it, right? It's
Yeah.
like, and
Well,
it's just
it's
you're constantly having to think on your toes. Like
Mhm.
even on the missions and the objectives that are like the most routine, you will never approach them the same way twice.
Right. I mean, it's why I brought up Metal Gear at the start of it and like why it really attached to me. I
Yeah.
love MGS5 and think it is still one of the best games ever created. Both in like what you can do, how everything interacts with each other, and I feel this game gets to a level that's like it's got elements of it
yeah.
that are so pure and to the heart that you don't see that in a lot of other games with like how they interact and so on. Uh, but to your point, Bill, like as much as I love MGS5, it's hard for me to go back to that game because I've already experienced everything that Afghanistan and
Right.
Africa
You
have
only
to
get the two
offer.
maps.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So with the way that they put this game together with the procedural generation, yes, I'll get the same things over and over again with like the rogue factory and the Seaf artillery and the satellite and so on. But where the bases get placed and how you have to interact and move, and maybe a POI like right outside of where the radar station would be, that's going to cause an issue with like call-ins, or you really need to get this stratagem jammer, but there's also a gunship tower that's like 20 meters away. How do you deal with this? So
Mhm.
you're thinking in the moment on these things, and that's the kind of stuff that I don't think you really get with a bunch of other games at this point. there's maps that will always feel the same, and that's why I don't really get the draw for PvP too much anymore. And this just doesn't have that. It just continues to flow and create different elements and so on. And that's what I like about it. Nothing feels the same each time.
Yeah.
I want to add something
go ahead.
real quick.
Please
to Beard.
do.
Yeah.
So I think you hit it right on the head. And another point I just wanted to bring up, I was thinking as you were talking, was like how the developers are trying so hard to make it to where that you can take any loadout in when you're going to.
Yes.
And I fits in right with what you're saying about the maps and everything being generated, because it's like you can go in and you say, hey, you know what? I'm kind of tired of this normal thing that I know that works for me, bringing an autocannon and whatever else you want to bring. And you're like, you know what? I want to try something crazy. And you just bring in a totally different loadout and it's still fun. And now you got to think about how to deal with it in this certain way and different way. And I just think that it keeps on building up and the developers are totally trying their best to do that. And I think that's really awesome of Arrowhead to do.
Yeah, and
I think ironically that could kind of almost flow into like patches and so on. But
yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no, you're totally fine.
I think that's something too that says something to the game design. I think that's also why they won best game design in that show that they just had too. It is simply put, with them having generative stuff and still having the ability for all of those loadouts and items to work together in that generative loadout, says a lot to how their philosophy in this game design has worked. So regardless of what anybody thinks or says about the game's philosophy is what is really bringing people back to it over and over and over again, and keeping people like dug into this lack of a better way to put it, addiction that the game does create, but just the general mood that it does create for you. I don't care who you are. If you bought this game, you now own it and can jump back in at any point. It doesn't necessarily matter. And that's something else that's incredible to think about too, for these millions of people that also own the game, if they're able to pop back in. And even if you do it for a week and you put it down, you are still, I feel, getting more out of this than you probably would in, I don't know, some other titles that are out there. And I think that's something too about like the future of the game, which I'll touch base on when we get there. But yeah, all these things to wrap up my point, all of these things is just the simple idea with the philosophy. The philosophy of the game is really what I think is keeping people coming back to it, and really what brings me back to it every single night to at least run a campaign.
Yeah, and I just want to hit on something. Then Russ, I'm going to ask you the exact same question. But what everyone's discussing is really, at the end of the day, the base version of it is the fact that they've just made a fun game. Like, it's just the gameplay loop itself. Everything you guys have said, at the end of the day, it's just fun. Like, whether you're doing, the major order or, luckily, there's not a meta or anything. You can go in with whatever you want, all that stuff, to rock and roll with your friends. Like you said, a story every moment of the thing. It's just a good time, whether you get shit on the whole time, because like you said, there's 1,500 Bile Titans and armored chargers, or, you come around the corner and, you're like, fuck, there's a factory strider. Then you kill it and turn around, there's another one, or you're doing just a blitz, and there happens to be like 6 of the fucking gunship towers. You're like, what is happening? Or if you're just breezing through it and you're just nonchalantly talking while blowing things up and burning it, it's just fun at the end of the day. Russell, though, just to get through this, man, what brought you into the game, man?
So real quick, I want to go back real quick to Beard talking about the philosophy, because there was one really important point that I wanted to make, and that was there's a passion from the developers behind this game that is rare outside of, like, at this point it's basically a AAA game. It came from an indie developer, but at this point it sold so much that it can qualify, right, in that aspect. But there's a passion behind these people. I feel like to deliver for the community. They love the game that they created. And it's not just a cash cow for them. For instance, Red Dead Online. Right? Red Dead 2, one of my favorite games ever. And I played Red Dead Online because I loved being in that world.
I miss it so much, Russell.
But they killed it. They killed it because they didn't want to keep it up because they were like, it's not making enough money. Whereas Helldivers 2, this is like that studio's game. They are willing to put everything that they have behind that game. And it is amazing that, you know, even with some of the, you know, lower concurrent player counts, they are still delivering primo content. They're not just half-assing it. In fact, they've gone back to the drawing board to go, you know what, how can we deliver a better game for you guys? You know what, they used to deliver you know, a new thing every month.
Oh, Warbond.
A new I forget what they call it.
Warbond.
What do you help me? A new patch.
Warbond.
A patch with a Warbond, right?
Patch.
And they're like, you know what? We're gonna back off of that. We're gonna go to every other month so we can deliver something better, right? Because they want to deliver something good. And you had asked, you know, how had I gotten introduced to this game? That was an important point to make. So hopefully,
No, absolutely,
I didn't take
man.
up too much time.
Well, it's tough not to jump into that conversation because everyone else was touching on it, and you just want to get in there. I hear you.
So I actually got introduced to this game a few years before it came out. I had seen it like on, you know, it was after COVID. So it was like the E3, you know, a Sony, I think it was a Sony, presentation, you know, where they go, here's our upcoming games. And Helldivers 2 was one of those. And I was like, I remember watching it and going, that looks cool. Like, and I'm much more a sword and board RPG kind of gamer. Those are the games that I like. But I was like, I saw it and I was really intrigued by it. I was like, this looks cool. This looks fun. And I'm not typically, like, I don't typically like shooters, right? I would much rather get in there with a sword and mix it up, you know, or magic or whatever, you know, because I'm a fantasy guy. But I saw it and I was like,
my fantasy.
that looks interesting to me. I want to my fantasy. And I wanted to pick it up. So I had been watching it for it to release. Like I had been paying attention and seeing updates and things like that. And so I had it day one. Like I jumped in day one and loved the hell out of it. And was like, and I remember messaging you and messaging Eggman and any of my other friends, Nick too. For those of you who have watched the podcast for a long time,
Sandbag
he's still
Bob.
around. And I played with him once at least. Yep, Sandbag Bob. And I was messaging because I wanted to play with people. I was like, please get in here. Please get this game. I think I bought it for you, didn't I?
You did. I was going to buy it anyway, and you were
Because
so
I was
excited
like,
you just bought it for
please.
me.
Right. I was like, I don't want to wait to play this game with you. I need you to play this game with me right now. Because it was it was that good. And you know, like Beard said, absolutely. I mean, I love gaming with you. So it's one of those things where it's like, I just want to game with one of my best friends.
So why'd you have to pause there and then re-say it and throw one in there? It's just
I caught that too, Brett.
Did you catch that too? Yeah. Just, you know, it not that it bothers me. It was just kind of weird that you had to backpedal to make sure you threw that in there. I was just curious what that was about.
Because I'm legally obligated to Joe. Our sisters are married.
Yeah.
So there's a contractual obligation that binds me.
Oh, Eggman, you're going through a tunnel, buddy. I'm losing you.
I'm coming in. I'm coming in for that rust booty. That's all mine now.
You can have it, dude. It leaks horribly. Whatever, dude.
Oh no. I take it back.
Been there, done that, buddy. I ruined it for the rest of you.
Hey, you know what? Some more loving for the stuffing. I keep coming back to the game, going back to my original point.
Yeah.
While everybody digests what I just said. Because like Beard said, right? It's a new story every time. And it's a puzzle. Like every time you come in, whether you're by yourself, with a group of people, it doesn't matter. There's that puzzle aspect of how do I get in and how do I get out of here and accomplish my objective. And then there's also, like what Joe was saying, or Ekman was saying, where there is this, you can play any way you want to play. Like there was kind of a meta that kind of developed towards the beginning of the game.
Oh yeah.
But since then they've balanced everything really, really well, in my opinion, and are continuing to tweak those things, bring it more in line to where like a favorite loadout is different than Beard's loadout, than Bill Nye's, than Egg.
Oh no.
He's there.
He's
but he's
karate
not.
chopping again.
I know. It's kind
Buzz
of funny.
Lightyear with karate chop action. Man.
I mean, to add to
Wait.
Maybe. Because each gun feels good.
He just is still going.
Oh,
yeah. He did.
That
He
was
did okay, though.
impressive. Yeah.
He's still going. He's there.
Is he back? I see his licking his lips. I think he's back.
I just can't shut my mouth.
It's a fact no one knows. Yeah, this is news to us. Yeah, for sure. Last we heard was you talking about how your loadout's different than Beard's loadout, different than Bill's loadout, different than Egg's loadout.
And it's as viable,
Yeah.
right? Because you can go in with those good. I really like flamethrowers. Everybody else hates that I like flamethrowers because I kill everybody continuously.
I also love
but they're fun.
flamethrowers. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, certainly. Like I would say, when the game first came out, for sure, like there was or at least when I started playing it, there was the railgun and shield backpack meta. And like,
and that's it.
to play on high levels, like that really was the only way to do it, because the game needed, some balancing. The other weapons needed some balancing, at least at the higher difficulties. But once they addressed those,
which they addressed very quickly.
yeah,
Yes.
within like a couple weeks
Yeah.
from when I started playing and when the game like really picked up. And I think that's one of the things I appreciate most about it, is that now there isn't a meta, right? It's like,
Right.
even on like the higher difficulties that we play on, I can pick any combination of equipment and do well with it, right? It's all about just like how you play and how you adjust your play style. And like, yeah, there are some that are like probably like objectively better than others, like like the EMS, like orbital strike's pretty weak, and smoke is still pretty weak, just because it's so inconsistent. But like, every other, anything you pick for your loadout's going to work,
Yeah.
depending on your play style, or even if you just want to like, screw around and experiment with different things, like you can figure out a way to make everything work.
Yeah, and I'd say we're currently residing in like the Viper era is what I'm calling it, because the Viper update came out with the best warbond, of course, and then the big buff patch where everything was viable, like you were saying. And I remember logging in that night, we're all like, "Oh my god, this can close holes. This can kill this. This guy. I'm gonna completely
spear
redo
works?
everything. The spear works. Yeah, just to log in and have everything work feels so good. And I definitely want to hit on where we're at right now. We were definitely talking about the past, but like where we sit now, we're kind of waiting. Obviously, they're on a bit of a break, figuring out. We're waiting to see what comes next for maybe enemies or enemy types, maybe entire factions. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. As the MO changes, different planets, we just got a new jungle biome, which is awesome. That the nuking the bug holes mission, which is great. We're sitting in such a great place right now where everything's viable, and it's just, again, like I was saying earlier, everything's just fucking fun. Yeah, let everyone jump in at once.
I noticed something that you said, and you said something about the Viper Warbond being the best one.
Yeah.
And I personally would have to disagree for one reason.
Here we go.
One reason only,
What's up?
and that's the grenade pistol that came with the demolition.
Ooh,
Yeah,
true.
grenade pistol's pretty good.
Or the stun grenades in
Right.
Cutting Edge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but as an entire thing, I mean, going through a jungle with my fucking bear arms hanging out, throwing knives. You know, I got my concussive fire grenades. You know, it's just
I would
feels
say that
pretty good.
the Viper Commandos did and maybe this is like a subject you want to touch on later, but like I felt like Viper Commandos made it clear to me how much they need more customization options, though.
Yes.
Right? Because like you only get all those camos in green, and they don't match anything else that's currently like none of the
At
other
all.
cosmetics in the game match with them.
Yeah.
Which I mean, they look good, so like I don't have a problem using them, and they have good passives. But like, yeah, you know, as far as like improvements in the game, that certainly would be a big one for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we
Well-
want to hit on improvements we want to see, that's fine. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I
I
have been
think
talking pros. We could get
Yeah.
to cons.
yeah.
Okay, we can do some what do you guys, come on, let's go around it. Eggman, what do you hate about
All
the
right.
fucking game?
I don't hate anything about the game.
Okay, well, that didn't work.
Actually, no. I will
I
say
hate the
this.
drama on the subreddit.
Yes, that's for anything though.
Oh gosh.
Oh, so you just hate the community, which
Yeah.
I
is
just hate
basically
the internet. The
I know
internet
too,
well,
dude.
I'm gonna
in
say the
general.
internet
Dude,
as a whole. that's
legitly,
fair
just to
enough.
hit on that point though, I was in a Facebook group for Helldivers, and it was, you know, at first it was fucking awesome, and then as things went, everyone just complained about shit, right? But it was so funny. Everyone was talking about how they're like, everyone's quitting because they keep nerfing the game over and over and over again. And then the update came out where they buffed everything, and literally the next day, every post was, I can't believe they made this game so fucking easy. Everything's buffed. This is stupid. And I was like, all right, I'm out of this group. I'm done. Like, there's just, you can't win as a developer. There's just no way.
Yeah, it's just everyone has opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just like the loudest, most obnoxious people are always the one that get hurt. That's just true for like every aspect of life. But yeah,
Those are
I mean,
the worst.
the things that I want to see are, you know, mainly quality of life improvement sort of things, right? Like, oh, like a more robust, you know, customization system for the
Yeah.
armor, like be able to have color palettes, you know, so you can get all your gear to match if you want to mix and match stuff.
So the
more
medic
easily.
gear can actually look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the meta gear can actually look good, or yeah, you know, if you want to use like if you like the design of this one helmet and it's like, you know, blue, but the rest of your armor you're using is like black or whatever, and it looks stupid just having a blue helmet on, you know, with everything else, like being able to just like swap colors around would be super nice. Like not even like with tons of options, but just like enough to make things even out, you know. That would be cool. I'd certainly appreciate that. Or cosmetics for weapons, I guess, are okay. I'm not super into that because like I'm not looking at my gun the whole time, you know.
Yeah.
It's like I don't care too much about weapon cosmetics and stuff. But yeah, more cosmetic options for sure. And then obviously like bug fixes and things, and they've certainly gotten better with that. After the first couple patches that were pretty rough, where like they would introduce more bugs than they fixed. And you know, just those like growing pain things of like when the game came out and just like a developer the size of Arrowhead just not knowing how to handle a game of the scale that it became without them even ever expecting to. And you mentioned earlier like how they slowed down their development speed. You know, they switched to a bi-monthly, you know, Warbond release so they can focus more on patches and fixes and things. And that certainly helped. You know, there's like tons of big problems that were fixed, and you know, tons of like balancing problems that got resorted, like, you know, when chargers were like fucking invulnerable to everything. Or you know, I think there was the one recently where like if you tried to fire the spear, your game would crash, and so they just told people don't use the spear. Oh, that goes along with another one. Is that their communication with the player base is terrible, right? How like they don't post stuff in game. They post stuff on the Reddit that they don't own or moderate. It's just the devs like posting under their own public Reddit accounts. On Twitter, which who the fuck uses Twitter anymore? Or just like random comments that they make on their Discord page, which I also don't think they own. You know, it's just like they really need a unified communication with the player base. And it seems like in-game would be the way to do it, right?
absolutely.
That way, you know, everyone will see it. Because, like, I don't check the subreddit every day. I'm not on Twitter because it's a fucking dystopian hellscape. And I don't really use Reddit for or not Reddit. I don't really use Discord for like communication, right? And it's not really built for it. I hate how companies have started using Discord as a communication source because there's no way to find posts easily. There's no way to follow threads easily. Like it's not a forum. It's not a forum tool. I hate how companies have started using Discord as a forum tool because it's not one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so
I
what
don't
else does
want,
everyone hate about this game we love?
well, and I don't want like a Destiny thing where you log in and there's 8 million pop-ups, but like on you log in and you're immediately on the Super Destroyer. Like there's screens everywhere.
I would
like,
rather
just give us
have
a
the
screen
8
there.
million pop-ups than what they're doing now.
Yeah, but like I
At
mean,
least that way it's all there for me in one place.
just
if
go
I
to a
want it.
screen on the ship where it has everything you need to know right there if you want to look at it.
Sure,
Like, boom.
sure.
But that's literally what they've been using the dispatches for, though, the last like month and a half.
I mean, but
There
so
have
the
been a couple of
dispatches are
things-
for like
More in
world
story
content.
lore,
They're
lore,
in
world
story, like
building.
what's happening, what the major orders are.
Incorrect.
Every now and then they'll throw in like a patch note written as lore, but it's not consistent, right?
Well, there was the point with the spear and the snowballs. They did have a point to tell you, we do not encourage Helldivers to make snowballs right now.
Yeah, but that's one
There
thing out of
was-
the millions of patch notes and everything.
Right.
Like,
They've
Right.
done it
There's
a
just-
couple times out
Yeah.
of all the problems and all the bugs that have come up in the games.
and I think,
Well,
you know, we
these
just
are
had
in life cycle.
the CEO step down to be more hands-on with the game development, which is fucking awesome, by the way. But, you know, hopefully that helps out, figure out, you know, some more ways of communication. Because, yeah, like you said, that's really, I mean, honestly, that's kind of the only negative we have is just you have to go to 7 different places to get all the information for what's going on, which is not of the bad things to have. That's not a horrible thing on the list.
Yeah, it's not the worst.
Especially for a studio of what started as around 100 people, not 100 developers,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to kind of navigate that landscape and not necessarily know like what Destiny or Warframe or something
Oh,
like
we lost Russ.
yeah,
He's coming back.
He's kind of all over.
I think he's
the
going to
place.
try not having his camera on.
Yeah, I was
think that's
thinking
a
that
good
just for the
call.
bandwidth idea, but
Oh, no, he's turned the camera back on.
oh dear.
He's
No,
determined.
It kept getting really bad, so I was like, I'm gonna restart it and see if it'll fix itself. So
Okay. If not, maybe just try turning the camera off.
we'll see
And
how
then-
Yeah,
long this lasts.
that will definitely help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then just get a
definitely
webcam
just
for the
try-
PC
yeah,
or tape a cord across the ceiling.
please, for the love of God,
I'm
just get an
tempted to
Ethernet
just
cable.
So, talking about things, 'cause the original question was like cons or things that you would like to see in the game.
Yeah.
I, for one, would really love to be able to stick stratagems to enemies easier.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say
Yes.
to your teammates.
I
that
agree with
too.
that,
That
too.
too.
That
Absolutely.
too.
Because right now you can stick them to the energy shields, but it's like 50-50. And honestly, that's one of my favorite. You know, Russell, I've killed you at least 3 or 4 times throwing an eats on your energy pack.
That is
Because then
something
I panic and I can't remember the button to drop the energy pack.
Yeah.
I know they've mentioned that being like that's been in the patch notes and they've called it a known bug.
Mhm.
Is that like if you drop a stratagem ball and it does stick to an enemy, it doesn't follow the enemy, it drops at its original drop point, you know, where it stuck originally before the enemy moved. And they've said that's a bug. But we've basically never seen it in game though working
Right.
as intended.
Which would be awesome.
At least for the reds. I mean, the blue will work where
Yes,
it'll land.
it does.
on
It does do it with blues, but it doesn't do it with reds.
And I still feel like with blues, it's like 50-50, though. The amount of times I throw a
I think
resupply at a charger and like half the time it bounces off.
Right. I think it works just with the resupply because they have that achievement for it. Right.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
it works with anything else currently.
No,
I've
I
never
think
seen
it
it
can
work
work
with
I
anything else.
remember it working in
Go
the
ahead, Russ.
very beginning because there were things where like I've seen videos and it happened to me where they would kick stratagem before it landed and it would come and land at your feet and then drop. It did work at one point.
And then very quickly didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love for me to throw a 500 on a charger and then it charge at all of us and then
and then it hits, yeah. Or to put a 380 on a friend and go, hey, run that way.
Yeah. Permanent
I mean,
traitor.
you can always just run out of bounds and be branded a traitor and then run back in.
That's
and
true.
then you just have an artillery barrage following you. Yeah.
Yeah,
It'd just be so fun to
gives,
sprint through with a red line off your head.
That gives a very different definition to a walking barrage.
Thing got him.
Well, and see, the trick would be is each person brings a barrage, and they all throw it on the one person, and then you just you've got 380s. Just no.
You're forgetting the key detail of the first one landing's gonna land directly on him though.
That's fine.
I mean,
and then it'll ragdoll the body.
All three of them would hit me at the same time. We know this is always going to happen.
You do have terrible luck with that, Beard.
I have extremely bad luck with them.
Oh my gosh, I was playing with...
You were playing with
some other people the other night, and I swear I played with them. I played with them hard. Just the shafts of light just beaming into the sky, shooting their load all over the place.
Hell yeah. Okay. That was a good addition.
I died a lot to teammates was the thing I was going for.
Yeah.
Well, Eggman, question for you, buddy. What's your currently with the updates we're at right now? What's your current loadout for bots and then bugs?
I really enjoy. This is controversial.
Okay.
I really enjoy the rover for bots. Well, for bugs and for bots. And the reason why is because I like to run. So for bots, I run railgun, eats, rover, and then autocannon sentry or something like that.
Interesting.
And the reason why is that with the railgun, you have to have your charge or whatever. And I found out that with the energy shield backpack, I kept on getting hit and killed or launched before I could shoot. So it's better to hide just behind cover. Well, while I'm hiding behind cover, if I have the rover on me, it'll stop any of the smaller units from getting too close most of the time. And I know most people don't like the rover with the bots, but for me, it works with like railguns because it just gives me a little bit of wiggle room to be able to charge up and hit hulks pretty consistently and stuff.
I dig that. So you stay pretty mobile and cover to cover and all that stuff, and then the autocannon turret obviously helps just blow through the bigger groups and hulks and stuff. I dig that.
Well, and then the eat or like a 500 or something for bigger enemies and like for turrets. Those are the worst.
Eggman is the king of the 500 kg right now. And forever will. Dude, I remember the first time me and you played. Nothing to do with the 500, but this was probably my second day playing Helldivers. I'll never forget this. It sticks with me forever. Is we were playing and we land and it's one of those science labs. You put the hell bomb down and arm it and go. And we're sitting around as a hell bomb. Yeah. So I can't remember. It was me. I think it was just me, you, and Russ. And me and Russell were just talking about like, wow, I love the trees. I love the shrubbery. I love, just different aspects of the game. And you just said it and walked away. And we're just sitting there chatting. And I go, Russ, do you hear that beeping? Boom! And I was okay. Yeah.
I believe the actual word was...
Did you arm that hell bomb?
Did you arm the hell bomb? And then you hear a long pause and I go, yes. As I'm twice the distance away from you guys that you
We just don't even notice you running away. It was fantastic. It was awesome.
Though my favorite memory is also during that playthrough. And it's when I landed on Russell for the first time, because it was the first time that any of us had landed on somebody. And I was like, I really want to see if I can do this. And I hit Russell, and I remember him going, what the hell? And I just started dying. Oh, that was the best reinforce ever.
So good, so good. Billy,
Yes.
if you are back, good, good. Your go-to loadout for bots and bugs, man.
Ooh, bots. These days it's probably between autocannon or spear. For my support weapon. Standard eagle strike. For sure. Railgun or not? Orbital rail cannon or 500. Because I usually do support weapon, standard eagle strike because you need that for bots. Something precision, so I do either the rail strike, orbital rail, or 500, depending on the mood. And then my fourth one, I'll usually flex for something else, like maybe like an AOE thing. I've been experimenting with the gas strike still.
How's that feeling these days?
It can have good effects if you drop it right. It's really good on bug breaches. I think it's better on bugs than it is on bots, just because the bots move around too much.
Yeah.
And they just tend to have higher hit points too, so it doesn't have as good an effect. But yeah, Gatling orbital is still good against bots, or cluster strike, or laser is always fun too. The orbital laser is also a good one. Then for bugs, I also am a fan of the flamethrower, so I do enjoy bringing the flamethrower on bugs because it can deal with everything except Bile Titans. I'm still waiting to get a kill on a Bile Titan with a flamethrower. I've done a lot of
day's
times
coming,
to
baby.
trying. It's coming though.
I
Cluster
can't
strike.
get a kill with a flamethrower, but I can blow up its sacks.
Yeah, the sacks rupture really
Gotten
quick with the
very good at
flamethrower, so it is good for that. But then I bring usually a cluster eagle or napalm eagle for area clear. And I usually bring a turret of some sort on bugs just to help like clear mobs. So either machine gun turret or autocannon turret, or Gatling turret. Although the new machine gun turret is so much better than it used to be that it's like kind of becoming like
comes back so fast.
Right, it's like you can just throw down a turret and not worry about having to when it's going to be ready again. It'll be ready again when you need one, basically. And then fourth one, it's a tough call. That fourth one is usually where I struggle to pick something because I just want to try something. So maybe like, for bugs 380s because you can clear nests with it really well.
Oh, yeah, dude, the amount of times I'm like reloading a rocket because a charger's in front of me and like it's running at me. I'm like, oh, fuck. And I just see Bill's cape billowing glorious as he steps in front of me with a flamethrower. Oh, be still,
dude,
my beating heart.
Is so underrated for chargers.
Oh my god, dude!
So good against chargers. It doesn't even take a whole canister to kill a charger.
Right.
Makes me so happy,
especially if you aim at the leg.
Yeah.
Yes.
And fun fact, what is it? 4 throwing knives will kill a charger in the leg, which is the dumbest thing to watch. You're like, and then it dies, and you're like, all right, that works. It's hilarious. Beardy, same question, buddy.
So for bots, my loadout tends to be a little bit more precise. Though ironically, like I've been saying several times here, it feels like I'm going backwards the higher in levels I go. So I'm back to using the basic precision strike, eagle strike, the orbital Gatling, and on bots it depends on what the mission type is. But lately it's been recoilless for like the Helm's Deep missions, just to take those down a little quicker. And I might take out like the orbital barrage now and put in the commando, because that's actually a great grab when the recoilless is on need for reload or something.
Yeah.
It's a lot faster just for those 4 rockets, just to fire those off real quick. And granted, I'll still vary it. If I'm using turrets, though, it's probably the rocket turret. That thing is just perfect, in my opinion, as far as turrets go. Incredible ammo efficiency, great range. It's just very supportive in what it needs.
Tough to climb on while it's firing.
Are
yeah,
much better.
Much better.
I am as cool as the commando is. I'm still like trying to learn it, I guess, would be the best way to describe it. Because yeah, like it kind of fills a role like in between the rocket launcher and the eats, where you get more shots than the eats, but it's not as powerful. But you can call it in really quick, like the eats, unlike the rocket launcher. I I haven't found the like aiming, like, command guidance thing on it to be super useful. Um, I guess just maybe with my playstyle, I end up shooting at things like really close, so I don't need to guide it, or I just point really far away and just hold it on target anyways. Where I don't really need to guide it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me like not being experienced enough with it to figure out really how the steering on it can be beneficial. But I haven't found a huge use for that yet.
It's probably a lot of your Arma gameplay coming through with that rocket launcher. You're just holding onto the target, you know.
Yeah.
For the commando, I noticed just this last time that I was playing that, because I always use eat, so I was like, oh, I'll do the commando instead. When I was shooting and aiming, it would help me get headshots more consistently.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So like a charger's charging at you or whatever. With the eats, you have to wait for it to like totally turn around and come at you. But if it's charging at somebody else, I have a good chance of actually hitting it in the head, shooting at it sideways.
Oh, interesting.
It's also great for me with some of my stupid neurosis that I have, where I'll get a muscle twitch out of nowhere, and instead of the recoilless just completely going off target, I can quick adjust my mouse back over to the target, and it catches it. So there are some points of error that are there from an ammo perspective that I think really help out a lot. So I don't know. It's definitely one of those things that if you're perfect at play, I don't think the commando is going to offer a lot, but knowing how I can react to some stuff, knowing what my hands do now and again, that's one thing that's very nice for it. But it's also just the versatility, being able to knock out devastators or brood commanders and not feel like I have to save it for chargers or something else, to me is a little bit nicer. And the fact that it's 4 rounds instead of just having the single one on my back, which means that if I go too far from my main support weapon, at least I've got something else that can kind of keep me going for a little while longer.
Yeah.
But you didn't let me finish.
Sounds awesome.
It does sound awesome, yeah. I've been starting to play something, though, with the bots where I'm using the machine gun turret more often. Because I've been doing sniping so much more lately. The For one, if anybody has not played with the Diligence counter sniper, they buffed that thing so heavily that it's incredible to use now.
Oh, I didn't know they buffed that much.
Yes, one-shot headshots on Devastators now. So if you are accurate enough, doesn't matter which Devastator it is, just plink, you're done. So I'm going back and forth between using that and the AMR, and I'll use both of them at the same time, but I'll have the Diligence counter sniper scoped in around 100 yards, where the AMR is at 200. So I'm getting the two different distance ratings as much as I might need to. It helps for the scout feel a little bit more, and also helps me for the sake of where I need to drop stun grenades or something like that. But the reason for the machine gun turret
Machine gun sniper would be awesome.
Yeah, machine gun sniper. Oof, boy. Machine gun turret is the sniper's helper, so to speak. So I've started referring it that way because there's times where I hard scope, and I just do not realize that I'm hard scoped in on a point that much. Now I'm in cover, I'm fine, and I don't realize that there's a group that's sneaking up on me. This will happen a lot with like a gunship turret nest or something like that, where all of a sudden you've got to make sure that the gunships are not popping out from the top, and I just don't look at the map, and all of a sudden I got a patrol on me. So the machine gun is there to at least cover for that. And it takes a lot of the heat off of me as a scout just to make sure I don't have to fight that too much. So that's been nice. But ironically for the bugs, basically the same loadout, except for the base machine gun.
Oh,
I
you have
will
been running that
use-
more. Yeah, that's true.
The standard machine gun having medium armor penetration the way it does makes it so much better at taking care of like brood commanders and hunters in a couple of shots. And then I set it to the lower fire rate because it then allows for the bodies to get out of the way so that I can end up hitting more targets more often with the rest of the drum. And then the rest of the loadout is the basic Liberator, because the rate of fire on it is perfect as it is for clearing enemies, while also having a deep enough magazine. But then you still have the ad clearing for Eagle Air Strike, Precision Strike for Chargers and Bile Titans and everything else, which, by the way, did get the explosive upgrade for the Precision Strike and 380s. The Precision Strike upgrade, you feel it.
Oh,
Yeah.
It is good. It is good. And then just the
sorry, is that the
orbital
new
Gatling
the
too.
new upgrade?
Yeah.
Oh, so wait, so what does that one do?
It increases damage radius and damage.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah,
But that,
and
so you're
it's-
saying that with the increased group or decreased group size is like crazy.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely like next on my list.
Yeah. I gotta say, I think between I have to run it a little bit more with like the 120, the walking, and so on, but just seeing how it impacted I was already getting like 5, 6, 7 kills with like close groups with the precision strike as it was. And to give you an idea, since getting the upgrade, if I toss it into a group of fairly heavily clustered enemies, all of a sudden I'm walking out with 20 kills on them. Like it's a decent enough increase that it feels like it's worth having it. So they did a good job with those explosive bursts.
Okay, I've got that written
Anyway,
down.
but those are my two major loadouts, along with like grenade pistol almost all the time and stun grenades almost all the time. Because at this point, they're just indispensable to me. Being able to get in and out of situations at the drop of a hat is just too hard to say no to.
Yeah.
And of course, I always have to bring the LSD.
Yeah, yes. Always, always, always. Yeah, I've finally gotten used to everyone running the grenade pistol for bug holes because I've ran in front of enough of them and then suddenly blown up to go, all right.
Right.
Everyone's got a
because
grenade
it
pistol.
frees you up for a different grenade type, which is
exactly.
so much more useful.
It's so nice. I get killed from those all. I'm like, I'll go close this hole, and someone from across the map's like, boom. And I'm like, oh, right. Everyone else can handle this. I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
But no, Beard, dude, your AMR work out there, fucking A, dude. It's so the amount of times we see a bunch of Hulks and like, you know, I'm lining stuff up with the autocannon. I hate using the sights on the iron cannon, on the autocannon. Yeah. So, you know, I'm in, you know, third person moving in. I've gotten really good at it, but just watching Hulk heads pop in the distance, and you're just like, got him. It just feels good, dude. You've got that to a science, and it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah, it took a lot of practice, I think, to kind of get there, which I didn't cover when I was talking about like why I like the game too, like the whole Monster Hunter effect of this game.
Oh,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
the practice and whatnot inside of it. I think that's another thing that I love about all these like different loadouts and everything that I'm hearing across the board from all of us right now, because it's a difference on like how each of us play. It's a testament to how everything is kind of balanced to work. But on top of that, it comes down to like what kind of stratagems we like to use and how we've practiced with them, that I think really makes their efficacy actually speak to usage overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Russ, what are you using these days, buddy? with all the buffs?
For bots. Yeah. For bots, I mean, I've stuck with the pummeler. So I usually for my main weapon, I usually go between the pummeler, right? I love SMG because then I usually pair it with the ballistic shield. If I'm running with the ballistic shield, I'm gonna run the SMG pummeler because it's just great. I mean, to be able to tank any shot and just like, especially like Beard was mentioning, right? He uses the machine gun when he gets surprised because I usually carry the AMR with bots. I'm running in with the AMR almost every time. In my opinion, the best support weapon against bots, hands down. And so it's a great, hey, I get pounced on from behind. Great. I've got my ballistic shield. I can wall up and just try and take out what I need to, run away, because I'm usually running some light armor if I'm going to be sniping, right?
Yeah.
It's usually what I run with the bots. I've gone over to Viper Commando just because during that weapon handling with an AMR, your shots are just boom, 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 and you can drag it across real quick and not have any drag there.
Right.
And then I usually am running either the Bushwhacker or I've started using I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the Desert Eagle that came with the Polar
Verdict.
Polar Patriots.
Yeah, the Verdict's
Oh, yeah.
pretty
Verdict.
good.
It is good.
Does pretty good, especially against right. When you get hammered with berserkers, it's a great thing to switch over to and pop, 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 pop. But I also really like the Bushwhacker for that. So I kind of go back and forth. Bushwhacker is really, really good. I usually don't run the grenade pistol with bots. And then that's usually my weapon loadout. I go between the pummeler and the tenderizer with bots, depending on my armor. If I'm going to go heavy armor, I don't typically worry about the ballistic shield, so I'll bring the tenderizer and go with that, especially because the ballistic shield has had some issues lately.
Yeah.
Where they'll fix it, and then it seems like it's not fixed, and you're constantly rubber banding into the ground, and so I'm
Russell's
like, you know what?
gonna-
I'll get
he's
used
bouncing.
to using
He's
this
across
other
the
thing.
map. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of like your internet
and then
connection
as
tonight.
far-
Hey-o!
Oh. And then for stratagems, for bots, I'm usually running a rail cannon because it is great when you're like, you turn around and there's a Hulk on you, and you're like, or a tank, and you're like, rail cannon, I'm out. See ya.
Fuck that thing.
Peace be unto you, my brother. Yeah. So it's a great weapon for me. And then I usually go airstrike. Because it is really good, or precision strike. I've gone, like Beard was saying, I've gone back to the precision striker a little bit because it comes in super fast, and I found that it works really good against bugs. So I've tried to figure it out with bots a little bit. And then of course the LSD for my booster, because I love that. You shoot that sucker up and you just book it to wherever you need to get, take damage, it doesn't matter. And then I'm usually rocking the impact grenades, because being able to take a strider out with just an impact grenade is great. I hate those guys.
See, that's what I use the grenade pistol for there too. Is you can take them out with one shot in the grenade pistol.
Well,
you're right, but you have to aim just right with a grenade pistol. And honestly, I can aim faster with the AMR. And it's like, if I've got the impact grenade for heavy devastators and striders when they pop up on me and I can't get a good shot on them with my AMR. So I'll put those out there and then I'll boogie.
You just need to change where you shoot your AMR at. Go to the leg joint right where it meets the body. Instant kill, believe it or not. It's something that I don't know if they added in or what, but it's
for the strider.
Perfect.
Yeah. And that's why I'm like, I'll go with impact, and then it's just if they're too close for me to be able to get down scope and aim, right? And So, but yeah, Striders, I take them out with the AMR the whole time. The only thing I really have a hard time with the AMR is the heavy devastators. That's what the impact grenades are for a lot too. I'll just throw one right at their shield, blow them up, and then I'll move on. Or throw a stratagem on them because screw those guys.
Yeah.
The thing is like they're at the ground and they're still pinpoint accurate, and it's like you're not even aiming at me. Like I don't know what's going on here.
They did fix that a little bit, but it's still ridiculous.
It's still bad.
Oh, dumb. It's dumb in the best way.
It really is. Like all the broken things in this game, and I'm like, I just love that all the busted darts.
His arm has an automatic AMR on it. It's insane.
It's so dumb. Hitting me in the head, and it's like 2 shots, boom.
Yeah. Talk about being an aim bot. Am I right, guys?
Wait. Hold on.
For bugs.
Hey!
There it is.
Nailed it.
For bugs, I'm typically running. I usually stick with the Viper Commando armor because it's just it's good all around. But I'm usually running for support. I'm usually running a flamethrower because that just is so good on the bugs. It's just so good. And with your commando, you can just. I mean, you are just. It's basically like having a machine gun that shoots fire because you can just turn on the drop of a dime. Give it an effervescent rustle. And then incendiary grenades. I'm usually running the what's the new Liberator?
Carbine.
Carbine. Because it chops. It is so good.
That one's really good against bugs.
It's so fun.
A lot of times I'll run the Bushwhacker in case I run into a stalker, because you load it up on the 3 barrels and you blast a stalker and they're done.
Yep.
Then incendiary grenades, and then I'm usually running orbital laser because I have not found a way to take out a Bile Titan with a flamethrower yet, so I usually keep that in my back pocket to, Bile Titan, or there's 3 or 4 chargers chasing after me. I'll throw that down. And then I alternate between the air burst and the walk barrage. And I've been playing a lot with the ammo pack.
Oh, really?
Especially if I'm running a tenderizer.
Yeah.
Because then I can just reload and keep going because I run through a lot of ammo. So on the bots, a lot of times I'll carry that ammo backpack with me. And then with bugs, sometimes I'll go jetpack, sometimes I'll go ammo backpack.
Yeah.
I need to do that with
and
the
I've
heavy machine.
Between. Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
Be able to
even the
constantly.
Yeah.
The ammo backpack is great because like when you're using like the tenderizer or even like the breaker spray and pray, or just regular breaker, like things that go through a lot of ammo very quickly, to just be able to go, okay. And I've even found, because it also replenishes your stems. So if I'm out there and I'm getting hammered, I can pop a stem, especially an LSD stem, get far enough away, and then just reload if I'm out of stems. So it's great.
Yeah. Well, it's great for like, because a lot of our gameplay recently has been splitting into groups of 2 and rock and rolling. And it's been nice to be like, all right, one group is just using this backpack, and the other group, anytime the resupply's up, it's yours. And like, we're not worrying about, is it okay if I use it this time? Back and forth. Like, you guys always get it, and we just have this backpack. And you just go and you have everything you need. It's awesome. It's fun with like a point Beard was making, how he finds himself, going back. And what he meant by that is like using a lot of the stuff that you just had when you first bought the game before you unlocked anything. It's just, a lot of that beginner stuff has been buffed up to such a great degree that it's fun. I find myself running machine gun and supply pack all the time. It's super fun. The Eagle strafing run is my go-to for everything now, bots or bugs. It kills everything, and it's just so much fun. And it's always there. You can always use it. I've always been a huge, obviously the airburst strike was awesome when it kind of got updated with the, What was the upgrade to the ship that gave you the extra barrage? I can't remember. But the upgrade to the
right,
ship.
yeah, it's like
Don't
one
remember what it's called.
Yeah,
but I
give
gave
one
you-
you
extra shot per volley. Yeah.
Oh, so good. So good. But yeah, I mean, now it's just the Gatling barrage all day, every day. So it's just like Gatling barrage, strafing run. If it's bots, it's the autocannon. If it's bugs, it's the recoilless rifle. And I just run the same thing everywhere else for everything. Big iron,
Right.
flame grenades, and the tenderizer, and just shoot shit. I love it.
It's just nice that they've added so much extra anti-tank or like softening armor additions to so many stratagems lately that it's made the game like much more approachable, I think.
Yeah.
Even if you have to use like multiples of the same stratagem, like if you hit a charger and it doesn't get him the first time, toss it again on a strafing run and it'll probably get him. And the fact that you can do that call in as often as you could on a strafing run is what makes it great. Russ, in fact, your little anecdotes on like I'm not too good on like taking down Bile Titans just yet because I'm using the flamethrower. I have the same problem kind of with like having the machine gun so often, but keeping the precision airstrike and being able to just kite things for a minute and a half or less at this point has just solved all of that. Just the fact that they're going the direction they are, and I think this is the biggest thing. They're going to the older stratagems and updating them and changing them and making them fit to like how the community was using them, because the precision strike was not. We're not using that in its intended purpose, but they changed it anyway because that's how we were using it. I think that's so freaking cool.
Well, and it's
You
also
have
cool.
no
And
idea.
that also goes back to like not forcing a meta on the players either,
Yeah.
right? Like
Exactly.
just make
Right.
everything viable and just let people have fun with it, you know?
Right.
Well, then it opens it up for when, you know, because there's a lot of games. The amount of people that I've had this conversation with where I'm like, hey, you should get Helldivers too. And they're like, it's been out for a few months. I'm going to be so behind. Like, why should I bother? But it's like, it's not a game where you're behind. Like, especially going back to, you know, where everything's buffed for what you start with. You can buy the game, jump in, and have stuff that's going to kill things and run around, be fine. And as you level up and unlock things, it's just more fun toys to play with. You're never behind. Levels don't mean anything.
It's options.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's options. Exactly. Levels
More
don't
options,
mean
Options,
anything.
not power
Spreading
levels.
peace and democracy.
Upgrading the ship is helpful, but it's not like completely necessary to finish a mission. Like, you're never behind. You know, anyone can just jump in, get the game. If you're playing a 5 or a 7 or even a 1, you know, whatever, as a level 1 with someone who's level 120, like, you're still going to be killing stuff with probably the same things Beard's using, you know?
Well, and you
That
can
does
definitely scavenge off their dead body of your
Yeah, that's true
comrades.
too. That's true too. Yeah, very valid, very valid.
Or if you're nice, just drop it for them.
Yeah, and if they don't drop it, then you threaten to kill them. I definitely would never do that, especially to somebody who I love dearly.
Yeah, you do it to me all the time. You're right.
I don't think
love
I've
you too,
ever
buddy.
played a multiplayer game where getting team killed can be the best part of the night,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Air.
Just like the way that they've made team killing part of the game is so ridiculous and unique though, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, if you team kill your buddies, it kind of doesn't matter. And a lot of times, like the whole joke of like, oh yeah, well, you know, I got a lot of guys along with it, so it was for the better.
So
And
it was
like, and
worth
that's
it.
actually true.
Yes.
Like, it's like, oh, whatever, just get back in here. It doesn't matter.
But
I'm
it
gonna
still
say there's-
sort of
I
matters.
find it really
'cause there's
funny
a certain
most
number
of the time.
Yeah.
Where is it,
Yeah.
Beard?
I was just gonna say like there's those nights where like I'll have like 15 deaths out of our whole 20 reinforcements. And it's just like, all right, well, I'm just having one of
Oh,
those nights.
yeah.
I'm glad you guys aren't, but
Those happen to all of us. Like you just
Yeah.
get in a groove where like you can't find your footing and like
Right.
you can't like you aren't able to like catch up with what's going on around you, so it just keeps like beating you down over and over and over.
Mhm.
Yep.
Every time you turn the corner, there's a heavy devastator in your face.
Right, because you're trying to like deal with the other stuff like that killed you before, so you aren't paying attention to what's ahead of you, and yeah, you just like get
Exactly.
rockets to the face.
Yeah, listening to Beard get quieter and quieter as he dies, and you just go, "Heavy devastator there, bud," and you just, yeah, you're just like, "Okay, all right, got it, got it, got it."
Talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good, so good. This feels good, guys. This feels right.
Yeah.
How are we feeling
Feel
on the?
right.
I just real quick because none of us were really talking about it. How are we feeling on the exosuits? Do they feel good? Do we wish they did more things with them? Because no one has them in their like main rotation. I use them for a couple mission types, but
fun to mess with.
yeah,
But yeah, like the fact that like you can't bring in more than one kind is kind of a pain. Because like yeah, if you really wanted to just like main exosuits for a mission, that would be super cool. Like I really wish they would just let you do that. And they've said it's like because of server overload, but like you could still never have 4 on the map anyways. Or at least you would never have 4 operating on the map anyways, which
That's
you can
true.
technically do already. You know, like theoretically every person could bring in a mech and drop it and the game runs. As far as I know, it could be bugged for all I know.
you should try this.
But
Try it out.
yeah,
yeah,
but like
yeah.
yeah, they don't offer the amount of utility, or you're kind of restricted with playing in the mech, I feel like.
Stuck.
Whereas
Yeah.
you're stuck in it until
Yeah.
you run out of ammo or it blows up or you die or whatever, right? Yeah, you're kind of stuck with it, so you're stuck with that gameplay until you need to move on. Whereas, with everything else, you can be versatile and move around and move around objectives or change things up. So they're definitely fun. I definitely like it. I definitely like it when someone brings a mech on a mission.
Yeah.
I just don't think they don't suit my gameplay style all that often. And yeah, I think with the inconsistency of their armor also I think makes them difficult to play. Where like the first mech came out and it was basically this glass cannon where you have the rockets and the machine guns, and it's basically totally non-viable against bots because you just get focused instantly and blow up. But it's really good against bugs because they can keep your you can keep your distance from them because you just have so much firepower, and the lack of armor on it just doesn't really matter. But then they dropped the second one with the quad autocannons where it does have a lot more armor, but they didn't really advertise that, right? So I think there's a lot of people that are probably sleeping on it because they saw how poorly the first one functioned against bots because it didn't have armor. But we've just been messing around enough and tried it out enough times that we can see it's like, oh yeah, as long as you're not taking like tons of direct fire in it, like you're okay and you can deliver some firepower with it. Maybe like another personal thing. Yeah. Maybe another personal thing with me is, at least with the newest one, the autocannon one, is that like I just cannot get used to the aiming.
It does feel
and
very
how, like,
inconsistent. Yeah.
it's really weird how like you can aim below you and like your dot will follow, but you can't actually shoot there. Like I felt like if the dot stopped at where the limit of the gun traverse was to actually tell you like where your final point of aim is, it would be a lot more easy to use.
Yeah.
Like, I think the UI for them and the aiming for them needs some improvements.
Well, they did change some of that in one of the recent patches, but it's still not perfect. I think it also suffers from the common thing that a lot of people still can't seem to grasp on Reddit or elsewhere, where the bullets actually come out of the barrel of the gun.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And I do think that still plays a little bit of havoc with like where the bullets actually land on some things, just at those higher and lower elevations. So since the Emancipator and the Patriot sit a little higher, angling down like that definitely feels like it doesn't feel as accurate as it could be. So I definitely do tend to agree with that. That said, I think the Emancipator goes head and shoulders above where the Patriot is, though. For versatility and ammo, its usability in multiple scenarios, it's just a better exosuit overall.
Yeah.
The simple fact that I could take down a charger by hitting the same leg in 6 overall autocannon rounds from the Emancipator just makes it a better overall unit.
Absolutely.
It is the better of the two by far. But it is not a mainstay for a couple reasons. One, I tend to be a scout. I need my stealth. As soon as you're in an exosuit, you are a beacon, and every single thing within about 100 meters looks at you and goes, get him.
Get him. Yeah, he's bright yellow.
Yeah, basically. Even if I change over the freaking color palette,
Mine's
it
in
doesn't
camo.
matter. But yeah, well,
Yeah,
even
that's
with
true,
the
too.
camo, don't
He's blending
matter.
in
They're
too
still
good. Kill
seeing
him.
me. Yeah, kill him. And that, I think, is the biggest issue, along with the fact that you can't just reload them. Because there's one other stratagem that fits that bill, and it's the laser. It's just the laser stratagem. The laser call-in has the limited uses. And to my knowledge, there's no other stratagem that has limited uses like the Patriot Emancipator or the laser call-in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after those are done, the stratagem is also useless. Now, if it was something where I could at least keep the exosuit going with ammo refills, then I think it would at least carry itself on a little bit more. And I think that's in the pipeline. They don't want to give it to us right now because I do think it would overset things. But when something bigger, and I won't say anything about what might be coming that's bigger, would effectively like make us want to have that heavier armor for longer scenarios, then I think we might see something like the engineer pack that comes down like our supply pack. Then it'll end up allowing for like repair or reload or something else. Just as a thought overall.
And I was thinking along those same lines. Yeah, I was thinking along those same lines. I think it's viable, but I think it'll be more viable, especially when we start seeing tanks or vehicles, and when we start seeing bigger stuff that's going to require that amount of firepower to take down.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's an interesting thing we haven't touched on yet, is like the teasing of vehicles in later patches, because like that was a big part of Helldivers 1, and the maps were bigger in Helldivers 1, right?
Yeah.
So like I feel like that's kind of something I've been saying this, where like, you know, we keep seeing all these teases of vehicles coming, and like they tested APCs, there's like a Humvee Jeep kind of thing. But like from how much we've played, I don't really see the benefit of those on the sizes of the maps we currently have.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, you know, you can beeline across the map. You know, if you just like hold the sprint button down and just go in a straight line, you can get across the whole map in a couple minutes, right? Like it's even on like the biggest ones, they're really not that big. They feel like they take a long time because you're getting shot at the entire way.
Yeah, stopping to fight the whole time. Yeah, exactly.
But like, yeah, like really though, the maps aren't that big, so I haven't understood, or I haven't seen a reason for why we need vehicles. And with the mechs it works because they move so slow. They they move at running speed basically. So yeah, I'm curious what they plan to do with them, and I assume that a lot of the reason we haven't heard much is probably that there's going to be a huge patch involving bigger map seeds to go along with it.
I'd assume, and then if we get bigger enemies that we're having to run away from or drive between the legs of and stuff, or like we actually get some of the most fun in Helldivers 1 was the actual city maps and actually fighting on Super Earth. If we got to actually drive Humvees through like a fucking downtown in Helldivers, would be awesome.
With the new jungle and swamp planet seeds, I can definitely see those like being a stepping stone towards urban planets, right? Because like you have all the effects of like they block stratagems, they like severely inhibit line of sight for the AI, not just like for the players, but like you can disengage fights a lot easier on those maps because you can break line of sight around giant trees and corners and stuff. So I can certainly see those. Like I can see the formation of urban environments in that, right? And how like they're kind of testing this out using assets that already exist with the existing, planet seeds. or
Well,
tile
and
sets,
on
whatever you want to
Something that I would like to see.
Mhm.
Here's something that I would like to see. I don't know if it's viable, but it would be really fun.
I'm so excited.
Is you get bigger seeds with more people, so it's kind of like a raid, like a Destiny raid or something like
okay,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You go
It's a
in
special
larger
mission.
teams or even join up with people that are all on that same map trying to accomplish that mission. Like a major order that says, you know what? We're all going here. We're fighting on this battlefield. Some of the bigger enemies that we saw in Helldivers 1.
Yeah, oh yeah. Like if we actually had a, Hive Lord or whatever type mission itself where it requires, more people having to do everything. You have all the extra missions on top of that, so you need the more people to do it. That'd be super fun. Especially with how many people we have fucking wanting to play all the time. We're constantly having to make second groups and people are just not
right.
logging in
Yeah,
because they're like
it's
the group's
definitely
full.
picked up again in the last couple weeks.
Yeah,
I've
it's been
noticed that. Well,
awesome.
so my friend Nate got back from overseas, and a bunch of his friends joined the
I've
server.
missed Nate.
So yeah, and he played Armed with us a couple times back in the day.
Oh yeah.
So like his influx of friends, because I'm sure his friends have been playing it and waiting for him to get back too. His friends up in Seattle. So he's got like a huge group that he brought in, and they play, and I play with them, and we've all just been playing together, and it's great. So I'm surprised that it's even within just your Discord server, it's as popular still as it is, and it's not just like me and Beard being lonely no lifers doing duos.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, no, Russ, I'm 100% with you. If we got bigger maps with more people, oh my god, that'd be so fucking fun.
Well, and I think that also plays.
I think that would be a ton of fun. I don't know if it's super.
Well, I don't know about the viability of like the raid stuff, because I know that they've talked about that a little bit. It's something though that many have talked about, and I know that Arrowhead's development has said they would love to do something like it, but I think it's going to come down to whatever the engine can hold, as well as whatever the server capacity could probably work
You
out
guys
with
know
too.
what game engine Helldivers uses?
It's the original engine from Helldivers 1. I always forget what to
What?
call it. Yeah, it is.
Really?
Yes,
Which
no,
I-
God.
so it got discontinued. It's like Shark something, I believe. I'll look it
Yeah.
up, but it got discontinued in 2018, but because all their developers like already
Never even heard
knew
of
it and
that.
understood it. They're like, you know what, we're just gonna take this and we're gonna take over the engine. So then they changed it and they've ran it, and that's like
That's what makes the
Autodesk
game.
Stingray, formerly
yeah,
known
Stingray.
as
That's
Squid.
what it is. Yeah.
That's what makes the game more amazing. Is you look at it and go, "How the fuck did they pull this off?"
They've even
Considering-
said they've added so much stuff just to the engine. Like they had to build on top of it a crazy amount just to be able to do this.
Yeah. Well, considering some of my buddies have joked and said it looks like a UE5 game, I'm like, you would think so, but I think that says a lot more about like older games and older engines, to say that like how you utilize an engine is more important than what engine you use.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, it's
I
like you can
agree.
still go play, like you can see like Starfield today, and you can still see bits and pieces of like Oblivion in it.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
It's like a 20-year-old game. They're still carrying elements of those engines over in the Bethesda titles.
Right. Well, and two
Yeah, in their
points to
case, they
that.
need to switch though.
Yeah, it's so
Yes.
bad.
Big time.
Yeah. Like,
Right?
no, we're
It's like,
fine.
okay, for Arrowhead, I can understand why they would want to use an outdated engine, because like they're such a small dev company. Bethesda has no excuse.
They have zero
No,
excuse.
not at all.
That was rough. That was rough.
But
Bethesda,
2 points.
yeah.
Sorry, 2 points on that though. Don't forget that like as difficulty goes up with Helldivers, we also have the increase in the size of the map, for the most part, at least. You go from trivial and it's this small thing, or even like 5s and 6s are a little smaller, and then you get to 7 through 9 and it goes up. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the original Helldivers had something like a cap of 15.
it
so-
had yes.
There is, I believe, a little bit more wiggle room that they have for at least size of map to at least add in some extra objectives. and they'll probably end up needing those larger sizes at some point for either some raid-like activities or something like that, even if they have to stick it with 4-person groupings as well. But I think it says a lot for like how Arrowhead's been using this engine and adding on and adding on. I always bring up Warframe when we start talking like engines and everything, because Warframe uses a custom engine, and Warframe effectively has everything with its customized engine and so on built on top of each other. And they redesigned that entire engine from the ground up to cut out like an extra 30 gig worth of useless data that allowed for the compression to then run the game at like 29 gig. So for the game to be as small as it is, and for like what their custom tech has done, the whole point to it is to at least say like knowing how an engine interacts and knowing like how you can build on top of it can actually do a lot more for a game and its longevity than anything else. So that's another thing that kind of interests me with them using the old engine. They know it well enough. Now the question is, how much can they build off of it, or maybe start even something new for some of these newer developers that they're getting in and training to hopefully carry them over to something else later into their careers.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And it's, especially stepping back to take more time to work on stuff like another point that we haven't really hit on is like, we've had mission types come out that were for a major order that lasted 3 days, like when we did the Termicide, which was an incredible play space that we only used that mission for like 4 days. And then it came back completely different when, everything somehow, I don't know how, went to shit. No idea how. Maybe someday they'll tell us, but
and we're laying the dark matter bombs.
A
planet that then blows up.
So fucking cool. But like
turns into a singularity.
Yeah, like who knows what the next surprise is? With the amount of times we've loaded into mission and I went, oh God, this is completely different for a week. Like that's so fucking cool. So we could log in next week and they're like, hey, here you go. Here's everything you wanted.
Well, they even have been making like smaller changes to how the tiles kind of interact with each other. They have the different setup for like the radar dish, for instance, where they have the console really close to where the radar is, instead of it constantly being like the radar dish is up the hill and the console is down below. Those little things I think are even enough to change how the game feels and how you interact with it, or at least like how you have to interact with enemies too.
Or there's a pond that you walk into because you don't realize it's there, and you've got the SSSD in your hand and it drops to the bottom of the lake and you're already at the radar dish. So then you have to run all the way back to pick up the SSSD again and run it all the way back to where you were.
The amount of people online who get pissed we can't swim, and you're like, we're carrying like 80 pounds at least of gear. You think you're going to swim in that? Like,
you're lucky that we're standing with it.
Right, yeah, I'm going to say. I mean, if you're running around with one of the rover packs on you, like take the rover off, and you still have to figure that you've got all that ammo on you.
Oh, yeah.
Along with the ammo for your primary, you might have your
armor,
support, your grenade, the armor, and the
fucking balls you need to carry just to be a Helldiver.
Yeah. Seriously.
I never forget about the balls.
A ballistic shield, which is a solid plate of steel.
I'm gonna say
not extremely heavy.
No, not at all. Like I'm kind of surprised they don't have something in there just to say you are a rock. You will fall to the bottom of water as soon as you step into it.
Right, it's like people complain about that so much that you can't swim, but it's like, no, that is probably the most realistic thing about Helldivers. The guy with 200 pounds of gear on can't swim, right?
Right. I'm gonna say that's why.
In their defense, you can swim.
Right.
Not very
2
far.
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's definitely times I've made it out of the water on the other side after those 2 seconds and went, oh God, oh my God, we did it. Holy
Yeah.
shit. I shouldn't have made that.
That's always a fun game. Can I
Or-
make this?
Can I make, yeah.
some of the swamp instances with like how the trees are like with like the roots and everything right on the edge of some of the water, and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm totally fine. All of a sudden you fall into the water, you're like, no, wait, hang on a minute. So you're like scurrying up onto the roots, like trying to make sure that you don't drown. Yeah, that's also
Please,
terrifying.
please, I've
For
got
the
the
love
super
of God.
samples. Please,
Really.
please.
Throw me a rope.
Oh,
Throw me the
seriously.
idol. Yeah. Oh, it's tough.
man.
The
Ah.
amount of times that we've lost samples in a crevice or
Oh
a
yeah,
hole.
in one of the holes or the
river.
water. Well,
Yeah,
anything
just
anyone
fall
else
in a
wants
hole that you don't
to
see right in front of you.
oh yeah.
Or Ryan just gets onto the ship and doesn't even tell.
Do the
I'm sorry,
samples
I had
make
to-
it?
I had to add that in there somewhere.
It wouldn't be a Helldivers discussion without that. Was there anything anyone else wanted to hit on real quick before we start wrapping things up?
Simply that we haven't even touched like most of the stuff that we probably could with this game.
Oh, absolutely.
Like what we have discussed here is like a bare bones idea, I think, of like what you could look at with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think its potential to go places is immense.
Mm-hmm.
The universe that Arrowhead is putting together, while I don't think it's quite as like tall as some of them, the breadth of it is very big. And what
girth?
they choose, well,
Very
you know,
girthy.
the
Hefty.
yeah, I make the joke. I know I'm going back to Warframe here for a second. Give me a second.
Here we go.
You go with like Warhammer 40K,
Oh.
and the Empire of Man is vast, right?
Yeah.
But the Orican Empire in Warframe is the Sol System. It's small, but it's much taller than what the Empire of Man could ever hope to be. And I think that's where, if you find something in the middle, that's
Heretic.
what's a heretic? You calm your tits there, sir. If you look at like where Helldivers, I think, fits into that, it has its space. There's obviously a lot of stuff that we're probably never going to know about, and they could take the Doom route and just say a story is a story and it's there to be fun. But I don't think they will. We're going to get somewhere in the center of all of that, like this grand galactic piece, but also this like very tall empire that exists. We're always just going to be the Helldivers.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at the end of the day, we're going to start to learn more and more about like what the story's trying to piece together, and I'm here for it.
And the best part is there is a chance we lose. That is a game mechanic. It's not designed where they'll go, oh, something happened. We move around. There was, 120 something Galactic Wars in the first game, and I think we lost like 80 of them or something that.
If you go to the Helldivers 1 announcement on the Helldivers official Discord, I posted that picture. That came straight from it. 134th Galactic War, and we won it. That was the last announcement post that was there. So that's another thing that just interests me. Is like they say it's a D&D game, and it plays like a D&D game.
Mm-hmm.
And how that can expand and so on. Like, we're in a campaign now, but what all of a sudden happens when we lose it, they have to reset it, and we start with all this different gear and equipment that we've already unlocked. Now, where are they going to go with it? And how will that impact how a war would start again? Or how would the next campaign look? And I don't think that's something that the overall population of Helldivers figures. They're like the Eastern story, if you will. They're okay with letting the main character die, as opposed to it being the Western story where everything survives and is okay. I am deeply interested in seeing where that goes.
I want to fight on Super Earth. Well, we know, because when that one planet became a black hole, everyone got pulled back to Super Earth immediately. I'd love to be in a mission and Super Earth gets invaded, and all of a sudden everyone gets emergency, boop,
Yeah.
and you get sucked out of there back to Super Earth, and it's like go, drop now, the whole community. It'd be and that would bring something like that would bring so many people back to the game. It's like, holy shit, Super Earth is under attack. We got to get in there now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's forcefully lose. Okay, guys, let's work on that. Eh?
And I think that's something else that, like, for the staying power of this game as well, and something I kind of wanted to touch base on too. We've kind of alluded that, like, the player numbers have fallen a fair bit. And they certainly have. Like, I don't think anybody can deny that they have.
Oh, yeah.
It is not to the point where the game is dead by any means, way, shape, or form. However, it's certainly not 150,000 people a day. Is there any problem with that? No. And I do think that overall they're playing the long game. By playing the long game and reintroducing things or making things right, so to speak, you're going to have more of the thing that most corporations want to see, which is organic growth. It's the thing that will actively keep people coming back to seeing something that's been given care and genuine attention, and understands that things do not happen overnight and are not immediate. They take immense care to develop into that. And that's why Johan stepped away as CEO, because he didn't want to deal with Sony's bullcrap anymore, and he wanted to create. And he wants to let people create, and he wants to foster that creative vision. And that is something you do not see out of most games today. So I give Helldivers a lot of passes that it probably doesn't deserve them if it was another AAA studio that had 300 people working on it. But I give this
well, because if they had 300 people working on it, it would be inexcusable.
But absolutely.
It's like, Arrowhead is a small developer that just, like, unleashed this, like, phenomenally popular game that they had no expectations of being as big as it was. And you know, the first few months of the game's life cycle was them just trying to catch up and figure out how to handle a game that ended up being this big.
Well, they launched it, and their dream goal was what their average player base was in June. Was their dream goal, and it went so far beyond that.
Right.
Well, and in a lot of argumentative states, like, they've always been on the back foot since release. This is the first time that they've kind of been in a position where they can actually catch their breath. Yeah. It was release. It was explosion of player numbers. It was, oh my God, the servers are failing. It was, oh my God, Sony's being a dick. And then it was Johan saying, I can't do this, and reorg and new hires and so on. They have always been on their back foot since release. This is one of the cases where I say, look at this game in February, a year after it comes out, and it'll be in a place where it's stable, knows what it's going to expect from itself down the line, have more people in place where it needs to be, and be able to get to the where it wants to. And it's due to no fault but being popular. That's it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And get to a point where we've played the game long enough where we actually have in-game holidays of events that happened in the previous year. It's going to be awesome.
Dude,
can't wait for Malevelon Creek Memorial Day.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say Malevelon Creek Liberation Day. Let's have it.
It's gonna be so fun to see what they do for that, man. It's gonna be so awesome.
And the Sony cape is still coming. They said the review bomb cape. I cannot wait.
Oh, did they really?
They've said
so
it's
awesome.
it's made, and they are just, like, waiting for the right time to release it.
I think they have to do it strategically.
Yeah. Wait till Sony's looking away.
With Sony.
Right.
I was gonna say, well, the smart thing for them to do would be to just put it in the game and not say anything.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right? Like, that would really be the smart move. It's just like, don't announce it at all. Just slip it in on one of the one of like the Monday hot patches or whatever, right?
Right. Well, and
I could
you
see
have
them
to,
like, I could see them like altering it and having it be like the yellow and black, and then it's like kind of hidden in the background of the cape, but you can totally tell what it is.
If you know, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
or there's the other aspect, of course, too, where they like have to change the lore of it. They have to add like a specific faction name that doesn't really make any sense to like why
Exactly.
it's talking about it. Like it's
The
it's
fall
gotta
of
be there.
Sonya. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
They
Like,
call the cape on the nose.
Yeah, they could do something well in it, and Lord knows with like the tongue-in-cheek humor that they have with the rest of the game, they'll come up with something.
Oh,
They'll
absolutely.
make it fit.
Yeah. The fall of Enos or something.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
Sony spelled backward.
He knows. Yeah. Just listen, guys. You know what this is, all right?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, everyone knows what it is except for when Sony comes to talk about it.
Exactly.
Yes,
What
and
is
we
it? I don't
don't
know.
know.
Yeah, it's in the lore written years and years ago in books of old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you
Yes.
talking about?
And
Like
if
I
you
say,
think, go ahead.
it's from Helldivers 1.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. It is the deep lore. Do not quote the deep lore to me, Witch. I was there when it was
That's
written.
Oh, yeah. And if you guys think this is the last time we're doing a Helldivers episode, you're insane. This is absolutely going to happen more often. Not more often, but
Yeah.
again, as we get content updates with something really important to talk about, we'll be doing this. Just like with Red Dead Online, when that was the main thing all of us were playing. I think we did 5 or 6 episodes for every update for that. It's going to happen. So
I mean, like,
things we didn't
once
talk about
every
here will be talked about next time.
once every 6 months is probably a good factor.
Don't tell me how to schedule my own fucking podcast.
Look, I'll tell you what's a good idea whenever I feel like it, all right?
What? Just because? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to listen to him, but
I'm gonna
he
say
can
these
tell
are-
you. You don't
there are
have to pay
specific
attention.
factions. There are specific factions that when they show up, it's going to need to be talked about.
What do you
to,
mean?
to be very fair.
Yeah.
Yes,
What do you
I hear
mean,
ya.
Russell?
Like,
Oh.
what's that company that makes the Minion movies?
Illumination.
Oh,
Fall of Enos.
Oh yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Something
are we
something
gonna
along those
get
lines.
invaded by Illumination?
Yeah. Banana.
Yeah. There's gonna be a minion
Be a
DLC.
bunch of minions just freaking
That
running.
sounds fucking
See, I-
terrifying.
It would
See,
be
I
such
thought-
a funny mod.
I
I have a question. So
I thought it was DreamWorks for a second, so I was like, wait, somebody's gonna be like hitting me with a fishing pole here?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Russ.
So when you look at the loading screen for Helldivers 2,
Yes.
you see all the bugs, right? You see the shriekers flying in the background that didn't exist, definitely didn't exist according to the Ministry of Truth. Charger. Now, but there's one bug I don't think I've ever seen. And it's kind of behind the Helldivers. It's still in the forefront. It kind of has that spread mouth that the dinosaur from Jurassic Park has, like the frill around. Obviously has jaws and teeth within that spread mouth. I don't think we've encountered that bug yet.
Isn't that the stalker? The stalker kind of has the like frill things, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
I
that's a
don't know
stalker
if
or a
they're-
hunter, I think.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because it has,
Pretty sure.
I mean, it has a jaw spread wide, and the stalkers don't do that.
The one
Yes,
directly to
they
the
Do the
right.
hunters.
They do in certain animations.
Yeah, because the
but
hunters
it's
have
hard-
that.
Yeah, they do have the frills that are going on, but the stalkers have the
But they
The
have the tongues
red
that
and-
stick out when they do that.
right, but they can control that as well because the hunters don't always have the mandible or not the mandibles, the tongues that lash out
mandibles.
either. That is also controllable, it seems, but I don't know. There's certain
Just
animations that
just
get
something I saw the other
tough.
day, and I was
Yeah.
like, I don't think I've seen that. I don't think
I
I've
mean,
seen that bug.
I mean,
But
as
could
always,
be wrong.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and just be, the logical Debbie Downer. But to me, I think we've
According
seen
to
it.
the Ministry of Truth, they don't exist.
Ah, well, there's that too.
You bring up a good point.
Jeez.
Cool. All right. Anything else from anybody for our first discussion of Helldivers, which are definitely more to come with so much stuff we didn't cover here that we definitely want to, but it was, there's so many things you want to talk about that you just jump all over the place. So
I got one before we leave.
Bring it.
So you talked about, what our current loads are. What is everyone's favorite what's your top stratagem? Like, what's your favorite stratagem if you had to pick one?
The one that you can't live without.
Autocannon Sentry.
You probably know what mine
It's not the
is.
500K for you?
No. Oh, here's a fun fact going just a tiny bit off. If you go and you look at your career stats on how many stratagems you've called of each kind or whatever, I have more defense stratagems called than any other stratagem by at least 200 to 300. So
yeah,
for every Eagle Strike I call in, I'm calling in a sentry or two.
For me, it's got
you kill me with every single one.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, because that's fun.
It's got to be the what, Billy?
The 380 for sure.
The 380. Yeah.
It's just too much fun.
The Eagle Airstrike is just so good for everything. I can't live without Eagle Airstrike.
I think I'm going to go with the rail cannon because
rail cannon's good.
Not a bad pick.
Not at all.
So it just the sound and just watching being like panic, throw it out there, and then just watching it annihilate whenever it hits. And that laser going snoop, boom.
And when you throw it and the laser starts coming down as Beard kills the Hulk, and then it just hits the tiny little thing next to it, and you go, "Oh, I guess I'm not using that for another 3 minutes."
Yeah, that sucks sometimes. Or when it automatically targets a Strider instead of a Hulk.
Yeah. Or a Hunter instead of anything else. You're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
I gotta say, it has to be the precision strike for me.
Yeah.
At this point, that thing has become entirely indispensable for its cooldown. It's
that
blast
with
radius,
the stun
everything.
grenade. Mwah.
Oh, just the fact that tanks, both shredders and devastators, move as slow as they do, and if you don't get seen by them, you're chucking that thing right anywhere on them. They're dead. There is nothing left of that tank. And that is something that I think no other stratagem can really own right now, is the simple fact that it's usable in every scenario and is absolutely the perfect anti-AT weapon with wherever you need it to be called in at.
Yeah.
Within one variable reason, and that is when there is atmospheric problems.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I chuck it 15 meters out, but it actually lands on my head for some reason.
Yeah.
Because that's my luck with orbitals.
Good old the air burst with that too. Leslie in the chat says the autocannon sentry, and that thing, agreed. It's just so good for everything. If you're attacking a gunship fabricator, throw that down. It'll knock them out of the sky. It'll kill Hulks. It'll kill anything in the game if you just let it sit there. It's incredible.
Right. My favorite turret and situation has got to be though the Gatling turret when you're taking on a Shrieker nest and just having the just throw down the Sea Whiz and just watch it go to town.
Wings fall across your screen.
You can hear the shrieking above you with the Gatling up bullet casings are landing around you while you're crawling underneath it. Yeah, it's fucking awesome. If we're talking, support weapons are stratagems too, I guess, but I can't, just the base autocannon. I can't live without that, especially because we play bots more often. It counters literally everything, and I can't live without the autocannon.
For sure.
I gotta say, if it's support weapons included, then it has to be the AMR for me.
Mm-hmm. For the same reason. It counters everything.
Absolutely.
You know what really counters everything? The 380.
Yeah.
Well, that is when
including Beard.
Yeah, valid. Oh shit. Well, thank you guys so much. This was really fun tonight.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, this is fun.
Tons of fun.
What's the next game we're gonna talk about?
I think Barbie's Pony Princess.
I actually did play that as a kid. So.
Same.
My friend's
I was
going to
give a serious answer for a second.
That would be
Mary
great.
Kate and Ashley Olsen's Fashion Police. That was
Oh,
a good
yes.
one on
That was a great one.
GBA. Yeah.
Was it the American Girl Doll
There
games?
was that one.
Those were
yes.
good.
Those were good.
Yep.
I
So
remember
I-
Putting
playing
my
the,
foot down. Next week we're talking about Elden Ring.
Oh. Oh,
Why?
no.
I haven't played that, so you can do that one without me.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So
For
you guys
real.
are guests. This isn't like you're here every week. I don't know if you.
What are you
guys missed
talking
that.
about?
I think you guys missed that memo. Russell, did you say
I-
something that I didn't know about? Because this
All
just
right.
got real awkward.
Look, buddy, I think that I'm the one bringing the LSD, but you're the one taking it.
Yeah, I am, buddy. I
Yeah,
want to run faster. I want
yeah.
to jump higher.
Uh-huh.
I love the
Yeah,
color
no.
yellow.
And clearly forgetting that we're going to be haunting you for the rest of your life.
Shit.
No, one thing. Okay, that is the one thing. We were talking about cons earlier. I wish there was a jump
Oh.
button.
A what button?
Ah. Jump.
Well,
Ah,
it's
it's just a
Hell
trackpad
Divers, not
button.
Hell Jumpers, dude. Fuck off.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
go
if
play
we were-
Halo
How are
if
you
want
going to
hell
jump
jumping.
with 200 to
say-
300 pounds of equipment on you?
You'd break your
Like I say,
ankles
what
and
do you-
die.
Yeah, dude.
What do you think you are, an ODST?
Like,
You
nobody
are
else
you
got
are
judged
not.
for their cons or the things that they wanted.
No,
to
Russell,
see.
you're a fucking idiot, dude.
Yeah. Go write your book.
Jesus
Fucking idiot.
Christ, dude. I wish we could jump. What the fuck
Go
ever, dude.
contribute literature to society, you
God
idiot.
damn,
God.
dude. Oh my! Did
Yeah,
you write that
look-
on that
look-
pegboard behind you? Is that your dream? What the Jesus?
Look,
Wish we could
this is a podcast obviously for freaking slouches and schlockheads, and you don't fit the bill. What do you think?
Jesus Christ.
I still love you, Russ.
Get a load of this guy contributing to the English language.
Oh, fucking.
What does he
bastard.
think he is? He's developing the freaking printing press over here. What is this shit?
Jesus Christ. Jumping. Well, cool. Sure, let's go ahead and rock and roll and get out of here. Eggman, I don't know if what everyone does. Do you have anything you want to plug or anything?
I love you.
I love you too, buddy.
And my favorite way to kill Russell is by landing on him.
Valid. Valid. Billy, what's your favorite way to kill Russell in game?
I don't have a favorite way to kill Russell, but I do have a favorite way to kill Beard, and that's with the 380.
Yep. Valid. Beard, what's your favorite way to kill Russell?
I don't play with Russell that often.
Oof.
What's your favorite way to kill anybody?
Yeah.
You know, if it's you, Eggy, it's
Is it a
meleeing
500?
you. It's meleeing you into a pool of water and watching you drown.
No, the last one that you did, you shot me with a grenade pistol into
I
a
did!
500. You shot me with a grenade pistol into a 500 because I had called down I think it was Fudd. We had split up in two, and I had called down Fudd, but you had died like right as I called him down, so you got put on our side of the map.
That's right.
You spawn in, you shoot me with the grenade pistol, launch me into the 500 that was just thrown down, and I died.
I was
Oh,
aiming
beautiful.
at something and I didn't realize I had my secondary on, and all of a sudden the grenade pops out. I'm like, shit.
There was no surviving that one.
I love those
That
ones where you
is-
just know it's over. You just gotta
I'm gonna
embrace it.
say that is a true Helldivers moment. Like that's
Right.
exactly what that is.
Russell,
what about
what's
you,
your,
Fudd?
What's your favorite way to accidentally kill yourself?
It is consistently usually the 500K.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. You have
You do
you're
kill
really
yourself.
lucky where you'll call it in, and it, like instead of landing on the enemy, it hits the mountain right above your head and goes off, and everything else is still alive. Yeah.
You're the very definition. of that.
Actually, my
Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, probably the most frequently way I die is because I'm not paying attention and I run into a hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your question, Eggman?
Oh, no, I was just gonna ask what yours was, but this is a funny
yeah.
thing about Russell and not paying attention. I usually don't have to call out most of the time when I throw something, But anytime I throw something, even remotely by Russell, I have to say, "Hey, Russell, I'm throwing this right next to you. Please don't go this way."
Even then, Russ
Even-
is like the very definition of that meme where the guy's just hanging out. He's got a 500 kg that's coming in like over there, and all of a
Right.
sudden, Eagle One just drops it right in front of his feet.
Yeah. There have been a couple of moments like that, not gonna lie. But there was one with Egg where we're perched up on top of this cliff
that was
face,
so
and he's
funny.
like, "Man, I really hope this,
No.
I really hope this doesn't land in front of us." And it just, or he goes, "No, it'd be really funny if this landed right in front of us," and it did, and it was like another 30 feet in front of us, and
It was
just,
so far away.
No.
Well, and,
so
and it
good.
was like, what were we on? Suicide, just the two of us on a defense mission or an evac mission, and like we were so close to finishing
it was an eradication.
out of lives. Yeah, eradications. We were out of lives, and like it was hell. Like it seemed like it was Helldivers Helldive that we were on, and it literally landed right in between us, and the red line wasn't even close to us. So fun.
Well, my
It was
favorite
just-
way
it
to
was
kill
really
Russell.
Funny because he'd go, "Man, it would be really funny."
Yeah, and then it was funny.
This comedic timing is just so good. My favorite way to kill Russell is you're at exfil. It's one of the elevated ones where you're high in the air and you're shooting at something with a recoilless, and he happens to walk behind you, and the back blast launches him off the elevated position where he breaks his neck and dies.
Who was it that killed me when it was the dark matter missions, and we figured out
Oh,
that if
that
you
was
stand
me.
behind somebody when they take off,
Yes.
it will immediately kill you.
I went to jump away from bugs because we were getting swarmed, and all of a sudden Russell goes, "What did you do that for?" I go, "What do you mean? I just jumped."
I still say they need to change out the jump pack with that thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Definitely.
my gosh, that would
Could
be
you
really
imagine
funny.
just freaking blasting everything as you jump? That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Oh God. This
Yeah,
game
throwing
needs
the throwing
If
the
we
like
get
special
shot,
missions
it
into
creates a black
rotation
hole.
more often would be a lot of fun.
That would be nice.
Well, that's 117 in the books, Russ. Forget plugs and shit, buddy. Just take us out, man.
Yeah, really.
This next week on Just Some Gamers for Mutual Chaos and Utter Incompetency.
Nailed it, man. Good job.
I did it right one time.
You did, buddy. You said the name of the podcast correctly. You said the tagline correctly. You sounded good. I'm real proud of you right now.
Thank you.
But
it happens
fucking
once
jump?
every
Really? Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
4 years. Feel judged right now.
Yeah, you
I
should.
feel really judged.
You should. I gotta take a dog for a walk and get kids to bed.
I was gonna say I know it's super late for everybody at this point.
Take the kids for a walk and get the dog to bed.
Yeah, take the kids for a walk, get the dog to bed. Exactly. Throw the kids in the kennel. Tuck the dog in. Shut up! I'll feed you when it's time. You know how it goes. All right, so we're gonna send
Meanwhile,
a
you're-
raid here to who's this guy? I'm following him. When did I meet him? I don't remember who this guy is, but I think I found him one night playing Helldivers. He's playing Helldivers, which is who we should raid after a conversation about Helldivers.
agree.
Thoragorn.
Excellent.
Thoragorn. Let me spell it right. Thoragorn.
Well, if you need to spell things right, I think that's what Russ is here for.
Oh, you're right. Fucking jump, really, dude?
You know, it was really irritating because I'd go to talk in between when you guys were talking, but for some reason there's a delay, so it wouldn't start. Like, I don't think you guys heard me until after you started talking, and I was like,
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
You were like
what-
robotic
Yeah,
half.
we
The,
were
so
the second
much.
half was a lot
Yeah.
better. That first half, you were
Yeah.
robotic so much.
That's what I
Probably-
was saying.
probably
I think
Yeah.
Lindsay was watching something on Netflix,
That's what I was saying
so it
too
was. I've got
about
the
your.
Twitch stream running.
I mean, even now I can see there's like a delay on your camera between like
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
say words and when your mouth moves, like a significant delay.
I'm just curious. Turn off your video and we'll talk for a little longer just to see like what it does. I'm just really